hii ni siku yetu ya pili. And we are here now to do our meeting, get to know each other more, get to understand, and we have things to take home. As usual, because we are all religious beings, let's start with a word of prayer. And that one is not in the program, so I'll ask for a volunteer. Can we have a volunteer, please? No, I'm talking too much. We already are okay. You don't need the mic. Thank you very much.
For the streaming, yes.
So you want to come there?
Well, the camera is already turned to you. You just yeah,
Right, this one is not working. I don't know how to do it.
Bring it on this slide.
Okay. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Let us pray. Our Father and our God, we thank you this morning. We bless your name. We worship and we adore you for your goodness, your love, and your kindness to us. We thank you that, Father, over the years you kept us, and that God will give us an opportunity to meet here once again in this place, to be united with one another. And we want to speak and to testify of your goodness and your provisions and your love to each one of us. We thank you, Lord. We bless your name. We thank you for seeing us through the night, and that God, you've gathered us here again this morning for the activities and the program of today. We pray that you be with us, that you help us, Lord, energize us, strengthen us, refresh us, and help us, Lord, even to be equipped for the next levels of our lives. We thank you because our lives are in your hands. So we commit ourselves to you and pray that God will continue to watch over each one of us. And when it pleases you to give us another opportunity to fellowship, we shall thank you as we continue to thank you. We pray for every presenter of the activities of this day. We pray for each one of us as we participate, that your spirit will be with us and help us through, that we will enjoy this day. For this is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
We have a noise maker. We have a noise maker. We are recording the noise makers. Lakini wacha niondoke karibu na wewe. Usiongee na KDB. Okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please get seated. We are just starting. We'll first go straight to our program because we are a little bit behind in time when we were supposed to start. So what we'll do is we first work with our facilitator for this session. But a little bit of a background. When you gave us the task of organizing this event, we felt that we are at a certain stage in life where we need to understand. Maybe we understand, we know where we are, but we need to know where we are going and how we can prepare. And being scientists, we like working with evidence, and therefore we called an expert to come and have a talk with us. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
And I will ask Maanzoni, allow me to drop the titles. Will be those small girls and boys who joined first year. Tulikuwa tunaitana haya majina before we got the big title, and we have added on the titles like Professor Molomi. Helen, please come and give us a little bit about David, and then introduce David and welcome him to give us his presentation. Thank you very much. Upigie Molomi makofi.
Good morning. It's nice to be here. I was being told by Walanga, DJ and Jeru that they went to bed 2-ish. So that doesn't tell. It tells the story of how much fun people had yesterday. I'm going to let David introduce himself, but I can tell you that I met him first year of veterinary school. That is a long time ago. He was involved with the navigators in Kabete, in main campus, and we studied with him, we became friends, and we've carried this friendship throughout life. Even though I'm based in the US, he was in Botswana with Agiso and his family, and then they moved back to Kenya, and sometimes we don't talk for a year, or even 2, but when we catch up, it's as if, nothing happened, we just continue. And so, it's a family that I love and I respect so much. They've mentored me for a long. I have learned so much from them. They've supported us as a family, and even now I watch them age gracefully. And so when this opportunity came, they're the first people I thought of. So, David, I'm going to invite you and then let you introduce yourself. Yeah.
Good morning, viewers. Good morning. You're staring at me so much, you're viewers. I have 45 minutes, which I want to use as much as possible. David Oduno is my name. Married to one Agiso, and I have 4 children and 5 grandchildren. I am shy of 70 by a few years. Wow. Yeah, and when I look at this room, I'm seeing people who are probably in their late 40s. No. That is what you look like to me. Yeah. So I am going to talk about how to age gracefully. Which to many of you might be just reviewing of notes, and that's what I'm hoping it will be. A little bit more about myself, so you're not left in wonderland. When I went to school, I studied agricultural engineering. So if I had been in main campus at your time, it would have been in the same campus. Yeah, but I'm a slightly of a different generation. Although we dance to the same music, I think. The generation gap is not that big. I am a life coach. Is what I do. I hung up my gloves many years ago. I'm a life coach, a mentor. In fact, as I grow, I was going to say older, but age is a matter of the mind, isn't it? I find a lot of young people coming to me wanting mentoring. I'm mentoring close to 8 young people. When I say young, these are people who are in their late 40s, early 50s. So that's one of the challenges I'm going to give you at the end. But apart from that, received greetings from my dear wife. She wasn't able to come. We were in Mombasa yesterday, came back last night, and she was here in Bedford. Bedford was, we were always adding water in the engine. To start that lorry in the morning when you're in Limuru, when it's cold, inakuwa ngumu sana. That's what happened to her. She couldn't start this morning. But she sent her greetings.
Thank you.
So, dear friends, I think we are going to start there so that we will have enough time for questions or discussion time. I'm going to talk about, hello. I thought I would flip the thingy open and it would start. Is there another button to press? Just flip. I hope it will start quickly. So you're Bedford. Yeah, okay, I signs there. Aging gracefully is what I want to talk about. But like I said, yeah, I'm looking at all of you here and seeing either an airport ahead.
Is it doing the same thing?
Oh dear, yes, it's doing the same thing. I don't know why it does. My friend, please come and do your magic on this.
It's because you used a torn Bible.
That's one of my favorite.
It's getting focused with the table.
It's one of my favorite. Because I look at the Bible and the kid is so young. How did he get it so torn? He must have inherited it. That's the question I'm asking myself. Why is he so keen on that? Looks like he's reading the book of Psalms. Why is he so keen?
The Bible is very graceful.
It has been read.
Yeah, it does.
It's a family, heirloom or whatever it's called.
Yes.
It passed over and over in the generations.
There are two microphones here. This one is supposed to be on. Should not have turned it off, eh?
It's just on the screen, it's not showing the presentation. So we have to display. The other one. For the I think you will put a microphone there. Like a mouse.
All right. I think we can start now. Here we go. Dun, 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 dun. That's. By introduction, I want to give some quotes here. Age is a matter of the mind. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. Yes, Alice is going on. Alice, when you were here,
Yes.
you said something that was a precursor to what I'm going to talk about.
Yes.
You said you feel like a spring chicken.
Yes.
Yeah. What you feel is what you are. And I look at you and you're actually springing. So age is a matter of the mind. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Look at the one after it. He who controls the mind controls the body.
Wow.
And for us, these are two critical quotes for the whole issue of aging gracefully. And I will come to this as we go along, because we need to start with the mind. There's something here about to age with dignity and grace, we must learn acceptance. I'll be talking about acceptance also. Life has shown us time and time again that there is much we cannot control or change. That's a quote. And the lady over there is, I like that picture. She looks so innocent. Aging is a natural process. Have you seen people who try to fight age? You know, anti-aging cream, foundation, whatnot. They go for, there's a lady in the US who had her blood implant. Is it small intestines cut and stapled and reduced so she does not become fat? Aging will age will come. And like we have said, it has to be graceful. So what do we do to be graceful in our aging? And then we age differently. Like I was saying earlier on, there are those of us who are bald, there are those of us who gray at 38, there are those of us who, no matter what you do, you always have a public opinion. So what? It's okay. We all age differently. And once we accept these facts, we are beginning to age gracefully. It's a quote I want us to look at here. The great thing about getting older is that you don't lose all the other ages you have been.
Okay.
What's another name for that? Experience, isn't it? Yeah, you have experiences under your belt. Nobody can change that. So I think that's another thing that helps me to age gracefully, is just to realize that as I grow, I'm becoming better and better at whatever I am or whoever I am. For me, that is so useful. Maybe that's why all these people are chasing me, wanting to be mentored, wanting me to be coached.
Sure.
But this is it. If I can understand and accept this, I will begin to age gracefully. I've got 4 things I want to share. Only 4. And then maybe we can, as questions come later, we can see what to do. Number 1 is this. Focus on yourself. Focusing on oneself is very, very important. I want to begin by talking about the whole issue of age. A very interesting thing here. I'm not old. I'm 25 plus shipping and handling. People have, life has handled you. Curveballs have been thrown at you. Thunder has struck you. You've been hit, you've been thrown on the bus many times by your friend. So you end up 25 plus all those handling and shipping charges. So the first thing under focusing on ourselves is to accept who we are. And once you accept who you are, you will find out that, like we said earlier on, age is a matter of the mind. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. The thing about accepting oneself, I want to talk about it by giving you an observation that I have made. I have a friend who is blind. He's called Duor. He sings. Some of you may know him. He jokes about his blindness so much that when you are his friend, you will forget that he's blind. Because he's accepted himself. And how about the people, some people who are challenged, physically challenged? Some of them are so free, you forget that they have a challenge. I have a brother-in-law who has got nice silk white hair. He's a good number of years younger than me. But he is such a spring chicken. He is just all over. He has accepted, that's not a problem. And those ones who are short, they even tell him, I'm horizontally challenged. I need a platform to stand. And when I go to stand in church, they ask me to stand up and I'm already standing. He jokes about his shortness. Yeah. Because you have accepted yourself, people will accept you. And when people accept you, that already makes you feel good. Everybody wants to feel accepted, and you need a sense of belonging. But it begins with you. If you accept yourself, you know, with all your warts, with all your pimples, with all your crooked legs, with whatever you are, if you accept it, people don't even realize. I'm sure you have friends like that. Yeah. You just wonder, this person, and somebody tells you, that guy is Summers. Then you remember, oh yeah, it's Summers. But you've forgotten about that because of how much he's accepted himself, fitting the society. Under the whole thing of focusing on myself, the other point I want to mention is this. Celebrate yourself. Celebrate yourself. And celebrating ourselves, what I did in a community that I'm a member of, in our church actually, what I did. You remember last month was a month that we call Men's Mental Health Month. That was November. during that time, the 19th was International Men's Day. So, I'm a member of a very small church. There are only about 50 of us, with about 18 men. So every month, I wrote something positive about them, about 5 things about every one of them. It just went viral. Everybody was saying good things about them. And at the end, somebody came and told me, you know what? I have never been complimented in my entire life like this. So I told him, celebrate yourself. We're helping you to celebrate yourself. And when we celebrate ourselves, we realize that I'm actually unique. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I'm created. We all have a different DNA when we were born. Very unique. And apart from the unique fingerprint, everyone is unique. Now they're discovering that even the eye is unique. That's why there's eye detection on your doors these days. Even the eye is unique. When we celebrate ourselves and accept ourselves, my goodness, we are beginning to age gracefully. I'm continuing under the same issue of focusing on ourselves. Once we have accepted ourselves, it may be easier now to begin to follow our vision or our objectives or where we want to go. It's very difficult to go forward if you're still having issues with yourself. Why am I so wrong? Why am I so tall? Oh, why am I this? This thing couldn't have happened. When you're stuck in that rut, you will never go forward. Going forward starts with self-acceptance. So going forward, what I'm challenging us is vision, objectives, and goals. And you know, companies and corporates are very good at doing that. And even at the county level, you want them to bring a list of all those wonderful things. But at a personal level, do we have that? My second challenge, have we written down who we are and what we want to do in our lives? Write it down. It doesn't even have to be a long paragraph. Just a few scanty things that you can write down. The fun thing about writing things down, later when you want to check, put a tick on that one happened. Look, that one happened. And it's like a good, warm, tender feeling in our little hearts when we do that. When there's an edge, you say, I need to work on this. But if you haven't written it down, it becomes difficult to even trace. I've got another challenge, dear friends. Do you have a will?
I have a will to live.
A will to live.
A will to live.
That is fantastic, but don't die interested, my friend. I have seen so many of my friends' parents who die without a will. It is pandemonium. Pandemonium in the family. So one of the legacies you can leave your children is just a simple will. Whether they follow it or not, or whether it's contested in court or not. Like you've done your part here. Yeah, but right away, no matter how simple. 10K, a lawyer will draft one for you, use all those nows and wills, not. All that will be written for you nicely. And you hand it over to your lawyer and keep. That is a process of aging gracefully, knowing that I have tied a neat knot that I'm going to leave to my children. I've made an observation here that I wanted to note with you guys. You know, I don't want to go into too much detail in my talk this morning because these days the internet is awash with wonderful notes about aging, isn't it? And I look at sometimes they said a post of 2 guys who are aging, dancing and making some fantastic moves. You've seen them, eh? Yeah. I get tired just looking at that video, the things they're doing there. Dancing and you know what? That's good for them. But do not compete or compare. See, we agree we are all different. And we all age differently. Because all those videos, what they don't tell you are these things. What do they eat? You don't know. Maybe they eat fire or petrol. Maybe they do all that. Where do they live? You don't know. What have they been through to make them who they are? You don't know. What is their bank account? Maybe they have got a pacer that is going faster than your heartbeat. You don't know. Maybe they work for the circus. That's why they are so agile. You don't know. So one of the things I find helpful about aging gracefully is just accept ourselves, do what we can we do, and move on. So those posts, yeah, look at it, laugh, and move on. Don't. One of the things I also find interesting, if you've been to town shopping, you find a beautiful dress or a beautiful t-shirt on a mannequin. You know a mannequin ni mtu gani? Mannequin are those things, they hand clothes. Why are they always this immense figure 8? Then they put a dress on it. Why don't they have somebody with a pot belly? Then they put See, they're working on our brains. I must look like that sleep guy. Who cares? So the world is trying to put at work on our putting pressure on us and on our minds. We don't need to be like that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's point number 1. I want to go to point number 2. Embrace health. And by looking around, I think people are obeying this one. Embracing health. And of course, I would not want to go too much on this. But let me tell you what I have found. This is now possible. To keep myself the way I'm looking, I drink enough water. When we age, one of the things that happens to us, when you're about 50 and over, your thirst buds or your thirst mechanism is not as sensitive. So you may be thirsty and not know it. So maybe every 2 hours, so take a sip of water. Yeah. Every 2 hours or so, just a sip. And then if at the end of the day you've taken anything over a liter, you're okay. And again, don't compare. I have a friend who by now he would have had about 12 bottles of water sitting in the corner there. And he sits near the door. You know why? And I asked him, why are you drinking so much water? Just let it clean it out. Now that's an overkill, obviously. Lakini kidogo tu. I have a confession. My father died at 97. A mistake we made is we did not give him enough water towards the end there. I wish we had given him more water. I used to wonder when you took him to the hospital, why are they adding more water to this place? I should have connected the dots to say, let him drink that water instead of Pilasa IV. So water. Number 2 is sleep. I make sure that I sleep 7 hours. They say 8. But sometimes after 7 hours the bed is eating me and I can look at it. So at least 7. Another thing that has helped me, this is all personally, there's so much you can get on the internet, is jioni na kupunguza ugali. Just touch. Hey, use it a bit. Yeah, kidogo tu. Reducing carbs, especially dinner. All the rest is just proportion. Kula kidogo tu. And then one of the things you do, many of us know this, I don't take soft drinks. Magic. So the rest, I'm sure, I don't want to bore you with the details of that. You can check on that. But another thing, beyond exercise, just a physical check. And checking is good. And in fact, a lot of organizations will say, we give men a free check on prostate cancer. We give women a free check on cervical cancer. We are giving you free high blood pressure. I mean, HIV is quite good these days, by the way. They cover a healthy amount. So you pay the 500 shillings a month. And you have a good amount. They cover hospital bed and a few other things. So the older you become, we still think we are young. Our minds are thinking we are 38, but whatever we are. But my body tells me the truth. So let's make sure that we have health insurance. Of course, we know that with age, medical bills will increase. Many of you have seen that with your parents. And now, by the way, do you realize that sisi ni wazee in a meeting? You are the wazee. Hakuna wazee wengine older. When they say wazee, tafadhali sana. Sister Helen, please, they have to encourage you. I think that is good. but let's get up to reality. We are the next lot. And so let's be prepared. I think that's what I'm saying in terms of health. So embracing health is critical if I'm going to age gracefully. Pay attention. Now I'm about to go to the crux of the matter, the real thing about aging gracefully, which is my point number 3. Mental health. Mental health. Good mental health is the key to aging gracefully. Remember what you said at the beginning? He who controls the mind controls the body. So if my mind is at peace, is relaxed, guess what happens to my body? Also relaxes. If I'm bitter, angry, guess what happens? You get ulcers, you begin to get, so the body begins to react to that as well. So mental health is key. I want to point out 4 or 5 things about mental health that will help. Number 1 is something we call debt. Debt. Inakula kicha kukula. And if we are in debt, that is an anti-aging, agent? It's an aging agent, not anti. It's an aging agent. When you're just constantly in debt, you have not cleared your debts. Sometimes you wake up at 3 and you wonder, why am I awake? Then you realize, I owe money to here, they're purchasing my mortgage, what. So the reason I'm mentioning debt, figure out how to begin to bring it down. Address it. It cannot go unaddressed. I want to go to the next point here. It's relationships. Particularly those toxic relationships. What are some toxic relationships? Can I get a few answers? What in your mind constitutes a toxic relationship? Pardon? Very good. You're reading my notes, my friend. That was my first one. An abusive relationship. And abuse doesn't just mean verbal. People think abuse ni matusi. It's beyond that. Abuse can be emotional, abuse can be physical, in any way. If you're in an abusive relationship, that is toxic and it has to be addressed. Another one? I like that answer. Absentee partner. Why is that a toxic relationship? Because somebody is being denied a sense of belonging, somebody is being denied companionship, and that becomes toxic. Let me put some down here. When you are unappreciated, that's a toxic relationship. And a lot of men these days feel very unappreciated because the woman is the breadwinner. She's bringing in 1-point-something million a month, and you're struggling with the cows and bringing in about 300,000 a month. So you begin feeling unappreciated. You are assumed. That is a toxic relationship that must be addressed. A debilitating relationship. There are some guys, when they call you and you look at the number, the call coming in, you already feel tired. Yeah? Before you even pick the call, you're tired. That is a relationship that needs to be sorted out. Because when your mind is tired, your body will already feel tired. And of course, when you are exploited, when they call you, it's always money, money, gimme, I want myself, I. Those ones just finish you. They don't add value to you. They take away from you. And by the way, there is nothing wrong with deleting some people from your lives. You'll be happier. And you will age more gracefully. We don't need certain, I'm not being antisocial, but there are some relationships where they are just taking away and never giving. You say, and by the way, there's a statement I want to give you. Takers never know when to stop. It is the giver who decides when to stop. Takers, you think they'll stop at it because they've seen now your mortgage has been attached. They don't care. They just keep wanting more. So
So the people who take from your life, you decide how much to give. Don't just always say, unajua, I was just asking for 3,000 only. I've got 500, take and go away. Who says I have to give him 3,000? He's asking, and I've got the privilege to say yes or no. Yeah. So it's important that we deal with these relationships. And this is not the forum to begin to discuss how. I am just pointing out things that, God willing, you sort them out. I'm continuing with mental health. You recognize that guy. Number 3, we've looked at debt, which was number 2. Toxic relationships, and now I'm looking at conflicts. Again, these are things that pull you down, conflicts. And there are different. The thing about conflicts is they need to be resolved. The longer a conflict remains, the more it eats away at your mind, and the more the mind eats away at the body. Half of the time my father was not feeling well when he was alive, I realized there were things bothering him. A headache just appears from nowhere. And so these need to be resolved quickly and amicably. There's another thing called battles. You know, when we have things we need to sort out, they could be battles. But decide, is this a battle worth fighting and winning? Or do I lose this battle and win the war? The war here being probably aging gracefully. Yeah? This guy is on my tail, wanting to overtake, keeps flashing the lights. Do I go fast and begin racing with him? Is that a battle I want to fight? Or slow down and let him pass? I'm talking about choosing what battles you want to fight. The neighbor is fighting for 2 feet along 100-meter boundary. Is it a battle worth fighting? I remember, back home squared, when my father bought it's a settlement scheme. When he bought that plot, there was with the neighbor. They were very good friends with the neighbor, so they made a decision to have a road in between them and us. So each one of them took a step away from the boundary. They just took 1 step. The guy also took 1 step, and they fenced this way. The other guy fenced that way. Our parents are long dead. Recently, I went and found the guy has removed his fence, so there is only my fence remaining. And he says, "Sija I've not touched your fence." But of course, you and I know what he has done. He has hived off an extra. And I told my wife, leave it. I don't want to fight that, but it's not worth it. What for? The same neighbor, there was a tree that was growing in my compound. Most of it was leaning on his side. I come from home after 3 months. He's cut it off. Sini miti yangu. And it's obviously growing on my side. I told my wife, leave them alone. Battles. Those are battles. The war is, am I going to age gracefully? What's my peace? One of the most difficult things to do is to forgive. But guess what? It is one of the things with the highest returns emotionally. Because the reason why forgiveness is difficult to achieve is because many times you are giving up your rights. I am right and you are wrong. So I'm insisting on my right. But if you forgive and say, okay, I am right, but you can have it. My goodness, you have actually heaped coals of burning fire on their heads, and you are the one who will be at peace. So forgiveness is a powerful agent. Powerful, powerful. And the more we can master the art of forgiving, the better it will be for us. And often this is the solution to conflicts. You forgive and forget and move on. I've got a 4th point here. Do something you enjoy. We're talking about mental health. And when I look at Bvm 88, and when you guys are getting together like this, something you enjoy. Who doesn't want to come to Maanzoni and walk around the giraffes and have that breakfast and catch up? You are releasing oxytocin, which is very good for you. So we need to do things that we enjoy, even if it costs money. What is money? So you leave that back on earth here. So doing things we enjoy, I've found that to be a great anti-aging agent. We go a bit faster so that we have time for questions. And by the way, are you learning a skill? Learn a skill, or are you learning a new song? Or are you learning how to play a new instrument? The other day, our pastor at church really surprised us. The guy comes there with a saxophone. A pastor coming with a saxophone. And he says, I am taking lessons. So he plays like a simple song there. Simple song. Of course, the crowd went wild. But this guy is learning something in his latter years that is very good for the brain. A friend of mine told me, when you get a little older, try to do the menial jobs using your left hand. Yeah? If it's combing your hair, you can use your left hand. Okay. So, asante. That one is a good point. My last point, be part of a community. Peers, schoolmates. And here's a point I like. Age together. Gives you a sense of belonging. And we know that there is strength in unity. And guess what? There is safety in numbers. Yeah, the zebras and the gazelles know that. When you're together, it's more difficult to get attacked. I have a friend who tells me he wants to build a beautiful house in the hills where his house is alone. I told him, you're making a big mistake. You don't retire in isolation, my friend. You will die very quickly. You must be part of a community. Retire in a community. So do not live in isolation. Give back to the community is important. Are you helping that primary school to build another class? Are you paying school fees for a little boy who was bereaved? It's important to give back to the community. Are you helping them dig a well, giving them ideas? Many times they lack ideas. And it is when you give is when you get. I think there's a mistake there. When you give, somehow you get refreshed and you get. What do you give? You give time, skills, and resources. Here's a challenge I want to leave with you people. One of them anyway. Are you leaving a legacy? Hello? Are you leaving a legacy? And I've got some suggestions. Many of you are very bright and have a lot of knowledge. If you added up the sum total of years of knowledge we have in this room, my goodness, it's a lot. If each one of us wrote just a small book of our experiences, and Mary Aburi, if you were to write about the experiences with people in your area where you're practicing, how would that be? And Mabel, what about some of the experiences you've been through? Do you put that in even if it's just a 30-page paper? And our spring chicken, Alice Kirinya, if you had to put your experiences on a book, some of these younger people would gain a lot. Another thing, we've talked about educating a needy child. That is leaving a legacy. They'll talk about you long after you've gone. We talked about building a school library, staff room. Another way you can leave a legacy is mentoring a younger person. Joining a group and doing something bigger than yourselves is always very, very helpful. So you give financially, if they are not already there. You celebrate them as they come. And so therefore, I like this clip here because a chance for questions. So do I give back to you?
Take us 15,000 shillings for a Harambe, and they flash me back. That was last year, sometime last year. They flashed me back and said, Daktari, pesa ya kutoa hukutuma. Nikamwambia, please figure that one out. If you can't, please send back so that I can send you na ya kutoa. I never heard again from them. So, David, I'm just confirming. Yeah, that is true. Dr. Moshibi, we will take some questions to David, and John will assist us with asking the questions. And after we are done with that, then I'll come so that we can agree on how we proceed with the rest of the program, so that we can cover for time. No, asking the question. Moderate the asking of the questions. Facilitate the asking of the questions.
Thank you very much. I think we've had a lovely talk. It's a pity that it was only 45 minutes. How I wish we could give him another 45. So I'm sure we have, where I was sitting, I think I feel like I understood everything. He was so clear to the point. But I'm sure there would be some questions, people who would want something expounded on. So let's ask, again, in the interest of time, I'm sure we'll have to squeeze the questions. Can we have... Yes, Maina, Kongo.
David, you mentioned an incident that is very similar to mine. So I thought of sharing mine. You said your parents gave one step, the other one step, it became a road. Eventually the neighbor took the road. It was the same with me. My parents did the same. We shared the road and it was taken away. But the other day I received it back this way. The other neighbor, the other side, sold his land. And he brought a surveyor who said, let's compare that land that he's buying with this other neighbor who happened to be me. And that is how we discovered he had taken mine, and he agreed that actually he should hand over that piece.
Can you also please put back the slide on the wrinkles?
Yeah, we didn't write all of it.
Yeah, so David, we are at an age where we have few friends. And I know you talked about toxic relationships, especially when you have few friends, even if you have like, and I'm talking about like the maybe debilitating, you know, relationship where the phone rings and you're like, I'm not even picking that up. It's just drains me. But when you have few friends, you still hang on to, because you don't want to lose that kind of friend. How would you handle that? Like, do you just keep on, or you don't want to end up with no friends? You want to still have a group of friends. But are you able to change that debilitating relationship? Can you talk to them and tell them, hey, we need to be talking about this when we meet? Or what's your advice? Yeah.
And David, as you respond to that, please include this new friend that we are getting called the mobile phone.
Thank you, Helen. That's a good question. Brother Mugasha, you said it very well. The issue of givers and takers. All we are saying, manage your friends. Just because the phone rang doesn't mean I need to pick it. Yeah? And managing friends also, I can't tell him you're a debilitating friend. Yeah. Yeah. You are a toxic friend. In my mind, what I will do, I will say, he has called me. Like I have a sister who you tell her, oh, I need to go. Oh yeah, okay, this one more thing. Nazungumuza. So I told her, if you don't stop, I will turn off the phone. Okay? So what I do sometimes, I let it ring and I tell her, please, I'm in a meeting. If I'm eating, I'm in a meeting, isn't it? So I say, I'm in a meeting, please just write the message you want. Let them get used to writing a message. Or you call them at your own convenience. There are certain friends you don't want to lose, although they are very, very tiring, they're very draining. So you manage them. Because they will not manage. They take. You draw the line. Yeah? That is where there's a friend who actually adds value to you, but they only have a few challenges in terms of talking, in terms of they don't know when to stop. Help them. And by the way, on Mondays, I never answer my phone. I switch it off. And I relax. There's no emergency. What do they say? It's not a train smash. So that way I relax. Then I get my messages in the morning. On Tuesday, I answer them. And I found it very relaxing because the phone is a good thing, but when not taken care of, can ruin our lives. Thank you.
I think I saw something missing in your presentation, because throughout you never mentioned the word family. I think you need to include family.
Family, to me, you have unearthed something I'm going to change in my notes, because I was telling Helen that I spent many hours preparing this, and I want to make it into something bigger. I squeezed this one because of time, but family is critically important as something, because we need a sense of belonging. Everybody needs a sense of belonging. So family is critical, and I would have talked about it a little bit more, but thank you. Maybe I shouldn't have left it out. Family for me should be there. It should be one of your places where you go and get refuge, where you go and drink water, where you go and refill. Should be family. And then again, family, what I would say about family, if there are issues there, maybe when I talked about my sister, I reminded you of family. There are some who really irk you. There are some who want to kill you because Mzee gave all the wealth to you. You need to figure out how to deal with family issues. What I can say, my parting shot with families is find somebody in the family who can unite the family. That is very useful. Then you all go to one person. And many of you are that person. They all run to. Yeah? At this age, I'm sure there's not too many younger ones who can take care of that. So that's another skill we need to learn, is how to handle family matters. For another time.
Just this morning, when we were taking breakfast, a friend, a colleague that works with Helen, was telling us about his mentor who died yesterday in Kampala. And this was after he retired. And he gave me a story about this gentleman that passed on complaining was his own elder brother retired and then just went and died quickly, apparently because he was not prepared for retirement. So apparently the same has followed him. And someone was teaching us and saying that as you prepare to retire, you are used to this life where you wake up early in the morning every day. And then suddenly, because you've retired, you wake up and you're going nowhere. So they said, you must prepare for your retirement. And among the things you must do is make sure you have a loving family around yourself. You have medical insurance, and you have something that you do every day. You have to do something that you'll be waking up every day and going to do like you have been doing. Otherwise, you will find yourself in a lot of trouble.
Thank you, David, for that nice presentation. I personally like this aging gracefully. And the reason is because when you look at the generation behind us, there seemed to have been a system, or maybe because they never moved much, there was something that was in the offing for them. When you look at us now, one of the challenges I am having is when we retire, we want to go to the village. Okay, we are saying don't age alone, don't be in isolation. So some of us are tending to leave let's say the Nairobi home, wherever you are, to go to the village, just because that's where your kinsmen are and all that. And I think I'm really fighting with that, and I'm like, you don't have friends there, you have not lived there. And the worst thing is if you and your partner are now not agreeing on going to the village, you want to stay in town, he wants to go there. So perhaps you may have an answer, or maybe it can go to the plenary.
There are two places we are all at. Our parents have died and have left empty homes, and you're still working. Sindio, you are headed for a time when you will close your practice, or in the county office you will not be there, or you will quote unquote retire or change of lifestyle. Are you going to stay in your house in Nairobi or in Nyeri or your house in Kisumu, or are you going to go to the village? I'm asking questions first of all. And let's assume that you go to that village. Your neighbor has people your age who have said them they're not coming to the village, they're staying in Ngong or Karen. So you're going to actually be alone. The only people who come to visit you are the ones asking for sugar, asking for shoes, asking for this, asking for gimme, I want myself, gimme, gimme. And they wear you out just from begging. So what are you going to do? I like what you said about agreeing with your partner. It's a big question. I don't know that I have an answer, but please do not retire in isolation, whatever the case. Why not, and many of you probably own houses, why not stay in the one in Nairobi or in the city or in Embu town, and in the village you have a nice bed sitter that you can go to, visit around, make friends, check on your animals, stay there for a week or two, then go back to what you're used to. Cindy, you're not used to living in the village. You may have grown up there, but you're used to the city. That's where your friends are. So it's a question that needs, let's answer it realistically. What will work for me? When I went to Malindi yesterday, there's a friend who was retired. He's bought a plot there. What he's doing, he's built Airbnb. He says when it's empty, he'll go there and spend a week and relax. But he lives in Nairobi. We don't have to move to the village. There are other options. Because some people, you mentioned village and their knees begin to have fellowship in fear. Yeah? What am I going to do in the village? I can't milk a cow in the morning. So anyway, let me not preach.
Presentation was well done, and I think there's a few things I guess people missed. This word retire was brought by European, and In most cases, they were talking of leaving work to go to their homes. You are not talking to leave work and remain in Nairobi. And if anything, even in farming, there's also timing. You change the type of work you always to do. In Kiswahili, we call it kungatoka, sikustaafu. If people are, me, I am very used to that language because I have been brought up in a Muslim environment. The thing is, whether you stay in Nairobi or to go to the village depends on how you started early to invest and where you will settle later. You should not get retirement by surprise. That's how you will start talking about how do I go to the village and how do I remain in town. But if you had prepared earlier where you will settle at your old age, then that's the time you should move where you think you can benefit and if anything, add value on your life. But if you think of being chased away from work, that's the time we start talking about now, what do I do now? I think you don't misuse that word retire. Retire is not aging, retire is change of work. Thank you.
That was a comment.
Good morning. Thank you, Devin, for that nice presentation. And I'm sure most of us have been saying aging gracefully, but maybe we did not have all that wide inputs of what it entails to age gracefully. Maybe you could comment on some of us with the empty nest syndrome. Hiyo ya watoto wameenda, mumebaki wawili, maybe the grandchildren are not forthcoming, or even if they are forthcoming, they are settled somewhere far. And I wanted you to comment on how to adjust to that empty nest syndrome. Secondly, how there's some people after the age of 50, they get into excesses of denial of that emptiness syndrome. It may be an excess of a hobby or something you like drinking, like church, like going out, and you really don't care about your other friend. So you may comment on that and the balancing issues and where the mobile phone is coming in, whereby maybe you are here, you are fellowshipping, but somebody is fellowshipping with social media. So unaongea hapo anasema but the mind is not really there. Can you comment on those things which have really caught us?
Empty nest syndrome is a reality. It is a big, big reality. What it does, it exposes the relationship between you and your partner to its bare bones. All the things you swept under the carpet when the children were there are now exposed and have to be dealt with. That's part of the conflict I was talking about earlier on. Empty nest syndrome conflicts. You begin to get more irritated about the snoring than you were before when the children are there. Because when the children are there, you slept well, you are very tired. But now that they're not there, you go to sleep because it's time to sleep. So it may be helpful to figure out, just agree. You know, acceptance is a big thing. You accept that now we have got this extra money, now we've got this extra time, now we've got this extra room. How do we deal with it? So my first thing would be agree on what we are going to do, how we are going to handle it. One of the things I agreed with my wife, no phone in the bedroom. Unawacha kwa ofisi huko, ofisi meaning, you know, there's a room we've converted into an office. Yeah, because of home, COVID, a lot of offices are now in the home. Unawacha huko. Bedroom is for sleeping. Because what would happen, look at watch, is 1 o'clock. And for me, I can't sleep with the light on. I don't know how my body is. Kama taa inawaka, I'm also looking. So I told her the light has to be off. Oh yeah, that's okay. Anazima, anaendelea na hii, the phones have their own light. So I told her, no, we can't work like this. Let's agree. So we have agreed. The other thing, number 2, about empty nest, ask yourselves, what gainful employment do I have? I think you mentioned it when you said, what am I waking up to? What am I accomplishing? Because going back to retirement, that my friend talked about there, do you remember how people are parents' ages, when they retired at 55, many of them died at 59 or 60. They didn't live long because you have been thrown to where you have not grown up doing. So the empty nest is a serious, serious thing that has to be dealt with by agreement. Number 2, you have to have a replacement for what to do. Critically important. And then, of course, these other things also come in. Live in a community, as a number 3. And then also have, thank you for reminding me about family. It may be helpful to find out how else can I help in the family. An area that if we had time, we'd have gone into is, how do you handle curveballs that have been thrown at you? One of the serious curveballs you need to watch out for, your daughter has brought home children and has gone. You are now bringing up your grandchildren because either the daughter has been deceased or wamekosana na the husband, they have broken up, the husband doesn't want to see the kids. She says, take care of the kids because now I'm broke, I don't have a job. Those are curveballs that will be thrown. But the key for me, if you have a mouth, talk, let's agree on what to do.
One last one, because of time.
Thank you, David. That's a very powerful talk. So in short, I've seen we should have personal strategic plans. And we must learn to say no. But there is something which I call emotional manipulation. You will be manipulated by your own child, by your siblings, by your friends, and the siblings and your own family, sometimes they are worse. When your mom is not well, they decide they have no money. And yet, they will drive bigger cars than you. They will go for holidays. But again, you do not want mom to know that you are even arguing over her going to hospital, maybe some 10,000 shillings. So you end up every time removing. That is emotional manipulation. Or your child, they will feel like they want to live the life you are living as their parents. They forget that they have to make their own lives. But then you will feel, oh, if I throw them out, they are going to suffer and things like that. So in short, is there a bullet answer for that, a capsule for that?
I come back to what we seem to be skirting around here. You and I are the managers of our time, of our energy, of our finances. Problem is that manipulation, some of them are so good at it. Especially those who suffer from paranoid schizophrenia. There's always an emergency in their lives and you're the savior. Always an emergency in their life and you're the savior. And they coin it so nicely. Akisema unaguza tu mfuko, hey, we need to solve that problem. I think we need to be careful. Even with our own children, sometimes it is good to throw them into the deep end. They learn to swim, my friend. I remember trying to help my son settling in a business. Nikaweka huko 1,200. After about a year, sunk another 200. Recently my wife said, look, he'll survive, leave him alone. So, my parting shot in that, we are probably thinking with our hearts and not our heads. You're feeling too much. Learn to say no. We keep saying this. Draw the line and say, Lakini hiyo ya mama hospitalini is a hard one. Because you've been doing it for so long, when are you going to stop? If you stop, they'll think you have gone mad. Because but you've always been paying. Kwani, what's happened this time? But learn to start drawing lines early until you say, hey, because after all, you're the one who ends up with a headache, unakula aspirin, unameza maji. Learn to draw the line. Maybe start slowly. Thank you very much.
I was going to say, one of the things I'm doing right now is I've let everyone know my timeline for retirement. My whole family. I probably do a lot of that. I'm always putting out fires and emergencies and taking care of issues, and everybody knows Helen will do it. And so I started, I have 4 years to go before I turn 60. And I told them, now there are things I'm going to do, there are things I'm not going to do. And when I turn 60 at my retirement, there are things I will never do. You know, so they know my timeline. And actually, I'm reminding them, like there's a sister I take care of, and I just stopped doing it in September because I gave her a timeline last year, and I said, by September, you need to stand on your own and do this. And she's not talking to me now. But that is okay. They know my timeline, and they know my plan, and they know there are people I pay school fees for, and I'm like, at this point, I will stop, and you need to be in a position to now get a job and do what you need to do. So I'm just giving you an idea that you can do a timeline and share with your family. And even if they don't agree with it, they know you mentioned it. So when you stop, they're not looking at M-Pesa and wondering why it's not coming at the end of the month. You know, yeah.
Very well. Thank you, David. And thank you all for
what I'm saying on I like what Helena said about the relatives and so all these other dependencies. But when it comes to the health of your parent, it is something that you cannot bargain or trade in. So personally, I usually give it the approach of, if I was the only child that my parent had, what would I do? And I tell them just that. Then you also decide whether you want to see your parent healthy and live long, or what you want to do. Of course, as she says, some are joyriders. In fact, they bring more complications when the situation is worse than solving. But it has helped to release my mind to do what I can afford.
Looks like we should have allocated a little bit more time for this. But I think we have done well. David, thank you very much. I guess you are still around a bit, so that those who have some questions still can engage you. What So I hand over back to Mugashia for the next directions.
Thank you very much. We have been told to practice transparency. So we have to announce when we are switching over. So that's okay. Good. Alice, are we okay with the tea, or how far are we? It's ready. Mimi nasikia maji bado iko kwa tumbo. So, do we, ladies and gentlemen, do we agree that we take 20 more minutes? 20 or 30, which is which? 11:30 for the purposes of, we'll cover some stuff which is there. It's not that we are going to stop. So do we take 20 minutes or 30 minutes? So that we break at 11:30. 20. Okay. So 20 minutes. And then after that we break for tea. Is that okay? Now, do we have any very, very burning issue that you need to address to David before we allow him to sit? Okay. David. Okay. There is one there. Okay. Now, let me just make a comment on the issue of parents before I give the microphone to... We only do that one question to the chair, our chair of this event. Now, the issue of parents is very interesting, and I like what Esther says. We also made the same decision with Mwekali there, that if it is parents involved, let's deal with it. God has given us, at least we can afford to take care of them. But we always make sure we involve everybody else. Bring what you can, the rest we'll do. If we don't have, tafadhali tuungane tufanye harambee. Being very open to people. The other thing is, as we grow older, make sure that you try to distribute the responsibility you have to the others. They have grown of age. And as we said, they will always want their money. A lot of them will want their money in their back pocket, not the front one. You can see the front one. They will always want it in the back pocket. So try to distribute, involve the others slowly, so that you win them into taking responsibility. And that helps a lot. And finally, if you can't do something, don't pretend that you'll be able to do it. Call them, call your relatives, sit down and tell them, this is no longer the Joseph you used to know. Joseph doesn't have the kind of money you think I have. Let us figure out how to sort out this. And watakuangalia, sometimes you become a very, what do you call this? You become an enemy of everybody. Sometimes groups will be formed and they start hitting on you. Unajua siku hizi, hata ni bibi yake, amemfanya akue namna hivyo. Never allow your spouse to be blamed. Those are the realities that we have. And I'm sure all of us are going through that or have gone through that. But you must have a thick skin to be able to say, this is my capacity, this is my limit, na hutaniambia vile nitatumia pesa yangu, without saying as much. Finally, I gave a relative a lift one time. And we were going to Geshagi. And I gave him a lift. Then he told me, nisaidie na 3,000. Nikamwambia kama David, nitakusaidia na 500. And I gave him 500 shillings. Then we stopped and I filled the car 4,000 shillings. Then when we started moving, I noticed, maybe because of NYS and other things, I always look at what is happening around me. And I was observing this guy, and he was checking the meter on the fuel machine. And then after that I came in and he said, sasa uliniambia una pesa na umenunua mafuta 4,000. Ati unajua sasa wakati mwingine hata nyinyi mnatuchezea. Now my question was, I was very clear with the person. Please do not manage my resources. Do not manage my money. Wewe ni lift nimekupatia. Hiyo gari lazima ifike huko na irudi. But don't manage my money. Anyway, those are things we go through. So I give to Florence. Very shortly, please.
Yeah. Thank you, David. I think you have really touched where we are. And actually, even when we were managing the committee, I I was talking of, they were saying 30 minutes, and I told them 30 minutes will be a very short time. And I remember Mugashi saying, no, 30 minutes is a lot. But now I just want to go back where Alice was, our children. There are those which are very easy to manage and to throw them out of the house. The others, especially the last ones, they are very difficult. They know, they play with their psychology. And because of what Lucy said about the empty nest, you also tend to allow them to manipulate you. And because you are fearing the empty nest. But I think from the talk that we have had and the benefit from each, I think it will be, you have to be very firm. Actually, I was advised by the Mogashias how to throw them out. Give them the first notice, the second notice, and the third one. They just go. Otherwise, it was very good, this talk. And we prepare for the retirement. Thank you.
I have a nephew who is 36 and still living at home with the mother, my sister. And that is the bright side of things. The dull side of things, he's into drugs. The plot thickens. He also drinks. The plot thickens. He impregnated a girl, and the girl also died. Now the child is there. This guy does not have he walks around with nothing, no ID, no driving license. I mean, anatembea tu. How do you help such a person? There are those, Cindy, you said some of them are easier to get rid of. And his elder brother was thrown out as soon as he finished campus. Aliambiwa, utafuta nyumba. Alichanuka akapata. He's now making good money in Nairobi. When he tries to help the younger brother, he drinks it or smokes it. So he said, no more for you. Now there are such. And it is still, there are some questions we will not answer here. Yeah, there are some questions we just good to be aware of what the others are going through. And maybe just because every situation probably is different. But what my sister eventually did, threw him out also. So what he did, he found my sister's plot, an empty plot. He took 2 sticks, akapata mabati. He is living like a pauper. Analala kwa makaton. So the brothers told him, that is your choice. And that is your life. So that's where he is. Akiingia kwa hii room sasa, when he leaves, there'll be like a small an odor. Yeah. There'll be a smell in the room. That's his life. So sometimes it looks painful, but you have to throw people out there to wake up. The other day he came, now he's willing to work. Anaona sasa maisha imekuwa magumu. So what I would like to say, Florence, is take each case in its merit. Because even those children, they all have a different character. Kuna wengine ukimwangalia tu, they get the message. Kuna wengine you will shout and speak and jump, they don't get the message. They are all wired differently. So that means they have also got to be treated and given different answers. But this whole thing of family, I'm going to have to rethink it from what my brother said. It is critically important. We love them, but we also leave them. There's a time when you have to leave and cleave. A time they'll have to go. Last thing I'd like to say, can we learn a lesson from the Indians? They are a community. They live together, they shop together, they go for drives in town together. Hey, what were Western? Hey, you plant bogas, in the morning you find somebody has plucked them and left them there. Uchoyo is killing us as Africans. How can we therefore inculcate this family thing in us? Maybe from childbirth. They need to see it coming up. Anyway, like I said, we have got more questions and answers, but yet, at least if we talk about it, you will know what each one of us is struggling with. Maybe in future, answers can be forthcoming. Brother Mugashi?
So, thank you, David. We close it there. and we really appreciate your presentation. Can we give him a hearty clap? Asante sana, David. So, we agreed to move to the next step. Will be facilitated by Coco, Dr. Muriuki, for the next few minutes. Now, what we are going to do, we came here yesterday. There are people who still have not introduced themselves. Please put up your hands for Daktari to see. Those who have not talked or introduced themselves. So, you have marked your customers. So, Daktari will give us the introduction, will facilitate the introduction for those people. Thank you. Then after that, we break for tea. Oh, sorry.
Good morning. Nafikiri kazi yangu si mingi sana. So, for those of us who did not do some introduction, self-introduction. Yeah, because of time, yeah, we can take 3. And I think we can start with
One minute? Okay. But you're eating into my minute. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm so excited to be here and to see some people after 33 years. That's a long, long time. There are people I keep in touch with all the time. We're always talking. We meet, Alice, Muchibi, and so those I consider like my regular whenever I come around to Kenya. And so just briefly, I live and work in the US, in the state of Massachusetts. Charles and I migrated to the US about 20 years ago, and we become citizens. We still consider Kenya home. We come a lot. I work as a professor at Tufts University, and I can say honestly that God has been good, and He has been gracious to us, and He has been faithful. I have seen His faithfulness in need and in plenty, throughout it all. And I look back, and I always say, if I were to live again, I would do the same. I would still marry Charles, that for sure, because he's been such a wonderful, great partner, and I love living with him. We are empty nesters now. We have 2, I don't call them kids anymore. They're always like, Mom, you're not kids anymore, Sharon is 27, and Matthew is 20, and Sharon lives on her own. She has her own job, and Matthew is a 3rd year. They call them a junior at the university. And so it's just Charles and I alone. Charles is an emergency veterinarian, and like I said, I'm a professor at the university. My job takes me around the world, so that's why many times we hear Helen is in the region. So I have a job that allows me to travel. I have many projects, so I travel. I did my PhD in infectious disease at the One Health, human, animal, environmental. So I'm involved a lot in the current coronavirus. Infectious disease specialists are really key to that. So I have a USAID project, a big one, that's in 8 countries in Africa and 4 countries in Southeast Asia. I have a gender and livestock development project that I work in Machakos and in Rwanda and Uganda. So anyway, I really do a lot of travel, and I come a lot. And so I've enjoyed living and working in the US. And I've also enjoyed traveling and coming back to Kenya. And I hope this is an opportunity. I really enjoyed talking to Mary Magua yesterday. We haven't talked in a while. And I'm hoping this, for me, this is an opportunity to reconnect and just sort of talk to, haven't seen Flo, for a long time, and just meet and talk to people. So thank you so much. Thank you to the WhatsApp group. It's so nice. Sometimes when I'm traveling, I'll be off for a week, maybe in Bangladesh or something like that, and I don't see. But when I come, I'm so excited to catch up and see what's going on. I'm like, oh, at least we have something going. So thank you for your friendship, for being there, and for being a part of this class. Yeah.
Give a clap, a bigger clap. I think for myself, a bit. Maybe some of you do not know. When I left college, I was posted to Kirifi with Membo. Yeah, Membo. Yeah, we reported to Kirifi at the same time. I was the first one to report. Then I remember I was told, you'll go to the worst place. But I pleaded because Membo had not actually reported. I told my boss whether he could actually, because why, we are Oiko. Why can't you take me to this better place since we are not even sure whether she is reporting? Actually, my boss was so adamant such that he told me no. Where I'm posting you, no radio can survive. So, in fact, I went to a very remote area called Baba. And that is where I started a veterinary office. So for those who do not know, I tried to look for transfer, and I was told, young man, you signed that you can work anywhere in Kenya. So unless you want to leave work, that is your station. I think I have my friend Mariki, who can do some bit of introduction.
Let me remove the mask. There are people who have not we have not met for the last 3 years. So let me say good morning. I am Marigi Paul. Maybe you used to be when we were in college. For those who have not met, there are people who used to confuse me and Kafada. So I am just trying to bring up our mind so that we can be able to remember me. Murai, we have not met. And I have a history in this country. When we left, I left for Kisii. That's where I was posted. Then left Kisii for Nyeri. Then I was taken to Masabit, where I had some stint, and then I started moving around, and currently I am at the DVS office. I would have wished to be with you yesterday, but circumstances could not allow. I had some activity which I was doing up to evening, and I had to take care because I did not want my boss to know that I have not completed, and him being around, maybe he would have asked where if the activity has gotten finished. But also doing what I'm supposed to do to the head. And that one I would want to say is something that I have found since I've been moving. I had a stint with the Kenya Veterinary Board as the chief inspector for 4 years, and I know as I was meeting my colleagues, I could see the passion that they have for veterinary work, and there was no person who would say that did not like what they were doing and finishing the assignments that they had been assigned. Until at one time, I remember we were singled out. Somebody told me, na hii klasi haitaiti, kwani inakuwaga na nini? And when I look back, I think we have a certain, something that we have, all of us, that which attracts others positively, not negatively. I would want to say that to me, I'm also headed to an empty nest. My last born is in internship currently after graduating with a Bachelor of Economics. For those who don't know, I'm still married to my friend Emma, who was a classmate of Mwikali in high school. Maybe some of you used to see her sneak in Mandela, in and out. And we are still together. God has blessed us. And I'm already a grandparent, grandfather of 3. And that is my life. On my countdown, by that by 1st of July, if I should be out of the office. So the current office that I am in. I want to echo what our facilitator was saying, that it's important that to have something that after retirement, whereby you can say you have shifted your office. You need to have something that you are doing, that you can wake up and do. It does not matter whatever you are doing, but as you wake up, what is it that you can say, I'm waking up to do? The other thing is, for those who want to retire in the Gishagis, let me tell you that we have quite the people who are there. They are already cells that are waiting for us. Cells of groups of people who are waiting for us. And I can say that with certainty because I found them, and they don't talk very well about people who are retiring. You get there, they entice you, and if you are not careful and you fall into their traps, within 2-3 years down the line, they will be laughing at you. So as we go, because maybe some of us will go back to our rural areas, because let me say, like now where I come from in my family, our parents passed on. So there's some land which is there, and there we are. Nobody is staying around there. So what is it that we are supposed to do in that land? So when we go back, we try to do something such that even if we get back there, maybe amongst our brothers, there's something that you can be able to do that will prevent you into falling into traps of those cells. And they are there. Let me tell you, those guys are there. They are there and waiting for us. They even know, even before you know how much you'll be getting your pension, they already know. They already know. They know even when you are retiring. I don't know how they know, but they know. So we need to know that they are there and they are not friendly. They will be friends for maybe a maximum of 2 years. When they know that now you have been trapped and you know when you get there, where dia mheshimiwa, si ndio? You are everything that you are doing, everything that you are the boss. So kila kitu unaitwa. At that time they are sucking whatever little that you might be having. Then if it gets finished, then you get in problems. And they are also advisors, and they will keep advising you. You can do this, but they are trapping you. So it's good to be focused on what each one of us wants to do. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Dr. Maregi. And that was a good presentation. Maybe another clap for him. For me, there is something I also did not tell you. When I was posted to Bamba, the place was quite remote. In the morning, because the office, there was no load, I used to meet at least every morning when you are going to the office, more than 6 snakes. Yes, just when you are walking to your office, just here, then you see it is a snake. And actually, one time, because we had a pit rattle, and I was just going to help myself. Then it was the roof and the walls were actually made of mabati. And since you have to enter and close, that is exactly what I did. Then when you have just removed your pants, I saw a snake in front of me. We were just looking at each other. Then you decide, because it is on the door, you cannot walk through that door. So what do? You cannot stand, because it might decide to attack you. So I just remained motionless. The snake also decided I was not a very big rival, and it started climbing. And it was climbing and falling because it is the walls were mabatis. But finally, it came out. And I forgot what I was doing. So right now, there is somebody who wants to share something with you, Dr. Harris. Because time is not on us.
The riddles keep your mind actually working. As we look at our bodies, you also have to look at your mind. Excellent. My other side is cool. And there is a good chance my covers are covered in drool. Who am I? My other side is cool. And there is a good chance my covers are covered in drool. Who am I? Go on, go on, go on. I am cool. Anybody think of the bedroom? something which has covers. Uh-huh. Excellent. Mikali, very good. Pillow. Okay, before we sit, one for sitting down. I have teeth, but no mouth. If a bald man carries me, it's only for memory's sake. What am I? Whom am I? Think. Quickly. I have teeth, but no mouth. If a bald man carries me, it's only for memory's sake. Kujifurahisha. Bald man. Think of the head. So what don't you use? Excellent. Okay, those are the riddles for now. I'll hand it over back to Coco.
I think now I'm told there is tea and time is not on our side. We can stop there and we go for tea. And maybe before we go for tea, I hand over to Mugashia.
Thank you very much, Muriuki. Can we clap for him? MCs have this tendency of not getting anybody to appreciate them. Tumpigie makofi vizuri. Okay, now we go for tea. And for those who have not spoken, we still have some, we'll give you time. You will be able to speak in between. We don't want to put everybody together for the purposes of managing time and also managing the event. As you can see, people have got very interesting experiences, and it's only good that we share. So we go for tea for 20 minutes, Alice. Or members? Wow, 20 minutes. 15. Okay, we are not many. Tea is outside here. We take 15 minutes, right? Then we are back here so that we can continue. Thank you very much. Please enjoy your tea. Lakini mimi hamjanipigia makofi. Okay, tumalize haraka ndio tuendelee. You know the problem Lois, wewe ndio unatoka pale kwa minazi, macho hayana bazia. Without the let us talk about the time. We are 12:07 and we are finishing at this session at 1:30. And the problem of dealing with adults is that they give you conditions and they don't negotiate because they say there are other programs where maneno mengi hapo. So, driving to the point that members, and a good number of members of this gathering, they have said their next activities, that's personal activities, are scheduled to start from, with the timeline of finishing at 1:30. So, we have seen, we overshot our time in the morning, and it is possible that we could overshoot that time. So I would like us to, or rather we would like to agree on what are the non-negotiables in this meeting, in the remaining part, so that we agree that the committee can edit the program according to the time. You allow us to edit the program according to the time. But there are certain things that are very important. One, that everybody who has not introduced themselves will be given an opportunity to introduce themselves. And that is what we are going to start with. We will be facilitated by John Wanganga. John Wanganga will facilitate us with that. I would like to request that when we introduce ourselves, let's give the points, but let's not belabor so that we can save on the time. But we would like to hear those very interesting things that you have gone through. Now, the other thing is we will need to discuss next steps and how do we hope or how do we wish to continue our engagement into the future. You can be thinking about that, and we also think about our next meeting. Where is it going to be? There are suggestions that have been given. I don't want to preempt them. I would like to hear people, I would like to give people the opportunity to give us their suggestions on the next meeting and roundabout when can we have it and which venue. That is a non-negotiable. Then the other one is a group photograph. That one is also non-negotiable, and a few photographs, people can take photographs. That is something else that we have to do. We cannot edit that. Are we settled? Or those are the things that were proposed by the committee? Are we in agreement on that? Okay. So, thank you very much. And then I'll call upon Dr. to come and give us, lead us through the introduction of the remaining people.
Ladies and gentlemen, afternoon. To you. Tukiangalia that time, check on that time, and those minimum. Would say that probably everybody who's not talked, we give them 3 minutes, 3. na wakipitisha hiyo I raise the hand. Hata ukiona tutafanya hivi because how many are remaining? I know John is not talk. I know Esther is not talk. Gashiengo, Bebo, Jimmy Apa. You talked yesterday. And Florence. So, and I start with John. So then, how many? Hands up again. Because I want to divide the time. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, 5, right? Times 3 minutes is 3 minutes. John, please.
I think it is bad to be last. Last, it was squeezed.
You are fast, man. You are fast.
I'm fast in the last.
No, I'm not a speech.
I have a speech written. No one has had a written speech. And now I'm told I have 3 minutes. And I'm eating the 3 minutes. Two now. Good afternoon. I have so much to say. But now that I'm given 3 minutes, I will have to try and use 5. Yes. I remain the same shy, quiet village boy that you met 33 years ago. The keywords are shy, quiet, innocent. Thank you. You know me. In fact, some of you have been surprised at the metamorphosis of that innocent, silent village boy.
Microphone for you, please.
Oh, it's working.
Thank you. When finally someone writes, or my book of life is written, there will be a chapter dedicated to class 88. When my tribute is written, and I think I won't allow them to write it because they may miss class 88. So I have written it myself. It's ready. So that class 88 sits in there. You know, people keep asking, alikuwa wapi hii mwaka? Alikuwa wapi? They struggle writing things for you. So why not write it yourself? So I've written mine. And class 88 features there. These are some of the obvious that we know will happen. We'll someday leave, whether we like it or not. People like going to heaven, but when you ask them to do the first thing that you need to do to go there, then they don't like it. So accepting that it is there, writing wills and writing tributes should be bare minimum. Wendy is just laughing. Now, I joined the university those many years ago alone. I walked in alone like this. And I also walked out alone. Some of you, like Mugashia, were lucky. They didn't walk out alone. I came in alone, I walked out alone. Not because there were no people that I could walk out with. There were plenty. In fact, there were 3 or 4 nice candidates. But you know, I was shy and innocent, and I feared rejection, you know. Some of them, like Esther here, was very intimidating. Because when you looked at Esther, she looks at you and she blinks many times. Very intimidating. Well, I left alone, like I had come. And when we went to Kilimo to check those postings, I had been sent to Taita. Alone. Helen phoned me later. Later, you came later. Going my problems on this planet, because it became
take a rope, like I see youngsters doing today, swallowing pesticides and stuff. So I followed the Bible, and correct me, Lucy is gone. Oh, she's here. Does it say that we were instructed to go and fill the world? Yes? The book of Genesis. Go ye and fill the world. So I have only 6. Reading program. And 1 adopted.
7.
Yes. Because I mean, but still I'm not fulfilled that.
No, you are fulfilled your world.
I'm on the way.
You are fulfilled your world.
So what happened is, a few years ago I had to remarry. I have big daughters. 2 of them have finished university, and they have left home. And now when you remarry, the one you remarry also wants, they don't want to be left there. So I have a little one.
Not a grandchild. You have to keep young.
Not a grandchild, yes, I need to emphasize that.
You have to keep young so that you raise that one.
Oh, I had to keep young to raise that one. Yes. So I need to try and keep young. 4 months ago, I had a misfortune that the little one burnt. A serious burn to the face, following an explosion of one of these aerosol sprays. And the little 3-year-old girl had been in ICU for 16 days. And I learned a huge lesson that I had not known before. A little kid in the ICU cannot stay alone. They can only sit there with the mother. Because the mother will not allow anyone else to sit there. I don't know whether there are mothers here who would allow. I tried to beg to be allowed to stay there, and I was refused. For 16 days and 16 nights, someone was just sitting there. And from that, I learned that mothers are such a special group of people. For those of us that may not be appreciating our mothers, because yesterday we visited a farm in Helen, an old lady somewhere in Machakos who told us that she has children, 3 daughters and a son. The son is married, he lives just here in Nairobi, but does not come home. So she was telling us, you guys keep coming and seeing me. Don't be like my children. They are all out here in Nairobi, but they never come to see me. She's living a poor life. She's someone's mother. What I saw done to my little kid by the mother made me realize just how important mothers are. In the past I've heard of Mother's Day. I never gave it a thought. But mothers need to be celebrated because they're so special. I don't think I would have managed to sit down day and night for 16 days in a hospital, set up mosquitoes. The kid is covered in the net, but you are eaten by mosquitoes because there's no bed for you. You're supposed to sit in a plastic chair. So I have been in the pharma industry all my working life except for 2 years when I was in the civil service with Helen. She was in Matati, I was in Mundani. I have serious phobia for reptiles. The one that attacked and found Muriuki, if it was me, I would have gone through the roof. Because I cannot stand those creatures. I fear heights, seriously. I have serious phobia for flying. I've flown many times, but each of them is a nightmare for me because of height. I fear water. I cannot stand water more than 1 crier. If the water is excess of a crier, I cannot move near there. So if you watch me, I will pass very far away from the swim. But I also love some things. I love food. I love food. And it was said here, you need to eat, but eat healthy. I also love sleep. He also said here, you need to sleep well. so that you age graciously. I refuse to go for that walk in the morning because I have to sleep. The other thing that I love, of the three things that I love, food, sleep, the other one is workout. I do 15 hours a week. We started off with him doing martial arts in the university. I think that Professor Mbadi here. I still do martial arts today. I'm a black belter. Na huwa sisemi na siringi. So working out has helped me. I can drive to Mombasa and back and all the way to Mumias, only stopping to fuel, and I feel nothing. So for those of you that call me and say, "Hii gym yako," it is important. You need to work out and stay with it. So asante sana to you all. You are my only brothers for those many years that we were suffering together, and sisters. And that's why you will have to occupy a chapter in that book of life that will be written about me. Asante sana.
And I have another round of applause. Thank you very much. John has written in Esther's time. Esther, naona kama utafanya nini so apige. Squeeze sometime out. Give the brief. But we don't probably to get the likes and the dislikes. What I listen about you, linking children. And don't you didn't tell us where you are.
Oh, that time he was
secret at the man.
That time he was not really.
But he was very shy.
He was my running friend.
It's not the opportunity.
Esther, please tell us something about Esther, come on. Short.
It's afternoon. I don't know whether he's still breathing many times. Maybe I still and now that age caught up with me and classes to come in. Well, here I am. I don't know where to start my story, but as he said, we entered the university individuals. I was one of the lucky ones. I didn't live alone. Not immediately, but after some time, at least I met with a friend who was a classmate. And so as I tell my story, I will tell my story together with my late husband, Dr. Steve Nyede, who was also part of this class. And yeah, so I left, went to Muranga, Kandara, was among the lucky people who were deployed at least where there were no hardship issues. And yeah, 1 year after we left, we got married. And Steve had his story, like the colleagues who went to do pharmacology. He was deployed in DBS office, AI office, and he felt like staying in that office, there was no work, and he was idle. And one time he told me, I was born in Nairobi, raised in the slums of Nairobi, and work in Nairobi. This is not life I want. So when he got a chance to go for, he met Professor, you are calling him? Locken. He also joined the group. So that gang of pharmacology masters, I think some of them really is not that they were passionate about study, but it was like an exit route. So we got married when we were still doing masters. We were in Kandara that time, and then Sabasaba came. You remember the Sabasaba? It caught him when he was out in Norway doing his research work. And everything stopped concerning the funding because the Norwegian government closed the embassy. And then he came back writing his thesis. And then he found that all the money that was left behind with the supervisor decided to keep it. And so he quickly had to look for a job. When still writing, went back to the ministry, was deployed to some Mariakani lab. Then Mariakani, the officer in charge, decided to deploy him to Witu, the place he never stepped into. And now when I connected with him, when the idea is actually now we are in Nakuru, and we went to Nakuru courtesy of Witu. Because when we refused that assignment, he's only stayed 2 months. He got a job offer in farming systems in Nakuru. And so when he moved to Nakuru, after 6 months, I joined him. And yeah, so we have settled in Nakuru. We've been staying there. I moved from Kandara, went to Bahati division, stayed there 10 years, then went to the district province. I've worked in the DBS office, I think 3.5 years. Currently I'm in Nyahururu, where I think I'm going to retire from there in another 1 year and some few months. And yeah, Steve worked in farming system for a very short time, and then the job suddenly ceased because of other reasons which I would not want to discuss here. And so for 5 years he didn't actually have a job as such. He was just practicing as a veterinarian around, tried to look for a job in Egerton and other places, and those days it was very hard to penetrate the systems. And finally after 5 years he got an opportunity to go to the US to do a Bible school, because even when he was still in college he was passionate about missions and ministry and so forth. And I think the best part of him, I didn't see him as a vet, is when you get him in the pulpit. Unfortunately, maybe some of us never found him preaching. He would be totally a different person. You do not relate to the person you see even in the house with when he gets the mic and he's on the pulpit. They are two different people. Because that was what was his passion. So when he came back, still put to work the passion, and we started a ministry, a church called Fountain Worship Center, and he worked there, and God helped him, and helped us through the knowledge we had in the veterinary. We realized the community has needs. In one of the area, the needs we noted in that place was water, and somehow divinely we connected with people who said, yes, you had a vision to call your ministry Fountain. You are in a dry place, so you must have a fountain. So the first project that God helped us to get is a borehole, and it has served that community. Those of us who have been passing around after STEM, there is where the bypass, the dual carriage in Aishia, that we call it pipeline Barnabas. I think we are supplying water to about 350 customers. We have piped the water and we read the meters in their homes at an affordable rate. And we are happy that the area now has developed. We were celebrating 20 years this July when we were looking at the pictures of how the place was and how it is now. There is no comparison. So we are thankful to God that we got a chance to affect the community. And then using our knowledge in medicine, as much as it's not for a human, we were able to also start a medical facility. So we are also running a level 3 facility in that place. So I want to thank God because I think my retirement package is already set. There is already more than I can handle. So even serving with the students, actually since I left Kabete, I was to go to Aichi Nyahururu as I finished my write-up because I did my master's late. But then I realized it's another ministry area. So there's been a lot to do for Aichi Nyahururu. Dr. Murai was telling me he thought Aichi Nyahururu was closed. Aichi Nyahururu was relocated first time in 1989 from where the Laikipia University is, and then it was taken to Ojoro Farmers Training Center, stayed there for 28 years on temporary basis. But now we are thankful to God we're in our permanent place. We are just by the way as we are traveling towards Nyahururu from Kalau. Once you get up where Kari was, actually we are starting to become noticeable. The institution now, you can see a few structures that can make the place be recognized. So we are still there offering certificate course. We have another program called upgrading course to diploma, and we are venturing into a diploma full. And we are also thinking of, and we are working on a program to train laboratory technologists, veterinarian in animal health.
because those people are not there. So maybe soon I might call you for a stakeholders forum to assist us in discussing that curriculum. Yeah. So in Nahiti Nyahururu, I work commuting from Nakuru, but I'm also thankful that I got the oldest friend I would say I have had. So we worked together with Dr. Mebo. We met in Form 1, and we learned together for 6 years in one class, 1G, 2G, 3G. Then we went back to the same school for A-levels, and then we found ourselves doing Bvm together, and now we are retiring from the same institution. So my friendship with her is not for need, it is friendship for keeps. You know the way somebody said yesterday, when you part with the people, when you connect, you just don't start afresh, you just continue where you stopped. That is what we have had, and I thank God for that. So, the time we stayed with Steve, God blessed us with the 2 sons and a daughter. And I am happy to tell you that we have repopulated our world. So you multiply and feed your world, not the whole big world. And anyway, for that comment, somebody else told me that the late Mwindi also said that I was very intimidating, I don't know, but Stephen was very courageous because he managed. So my 2 sons are married, and I have 4 sons as grandchildren. So mimi ni mama wanaume, and I am an advocate of the men's rights because God has enabled me to have men around me. So yeah, the daughter is young, she's in first year in the university in Chuka. And that's it. So I have 1.5 years to go. But my package, as I've told you, I do ministry now. When Steve left, I had to fill in the shoes, so I'm the pastor there. Other people call me bishop because I have several churches I oversee. If you want to connect with us, you can check us on Facebook, Fountain Worship Center Nakuru. We do stream messages, and thank you so much. I'm happy about all that has been happening, and I really want to appreciate the work that Dr. Mushibi has been doing to look for us when they are coming.
Thank you so much, Esther. Wonderful. I think I comment so that what you have here
Yes, and I want to suggest that when I finish, so that I take brief time and hand over to the chamber, then my story will be complete.
Wow. Mkae hapa pamoja. Wewe ukimaliza one sentence.
Oh, okay, go ahead. No danger.
Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, mask. Sure, I don't like to remove my mask. I was Mebo in Nyangala, not Gachengo, Ambolwa those days. When I was posted to Kilifi, I was called Dr. Ambolwa. Ambolwa is my father. Then later, I changed, so now I'm known as Gachengo, and that is good. I went to Kilifi, worked there for 4 years. I was at the headquarters, then I was posted to the better place that Dr. Muruk talked about, was Magarini Division. It was a new place. There was a settlement scheme, but I had to oversee the whole division. There was no office, so I started up an office for the veterinary services, and it worked well. There were shifters in that place, and when it became really serious issue, I was very uncomfortable. I had written very many applications for transfer until I had almost relaxed. But when it became very rough with the shifter issue, the then DVS Dr. Wamukoya wrote me a transfer letter. And when it came, it was just wow.
So I moved from that place to Nyahururu. I hit Nyahururu, and that during that period we were planning for our wedding. So I was in Nyahururu for just 2 months. I found a house, and when we got married, so that became our house, and we started life. So I don't have a very big story in that respect. I joined the training profession, the training, Ahiti, Nyahururu specifically, and that is where I have been all my life. I am now processing my retirement, and I have enjoyed every bit of it. I remember one time visiting Esther in Nakuru, and she told me, "Maybe what are you doing in the institution? Kuja field tufanye kazi." Kazi sahiyo kwake was vaccinations and those kind of things she was doing. But now I'm happy to hear her confess that that is another mission field altogether. And that is the place I joined, and I'm happy today as I travel all over the country, I meet people saying, "And you know you did this, and you know you did this," and that just gives me a lot of joy, very fulfilling. So I got married to Gachengo. We are blessed with the 3 children, and I will give him the mic so that he completes that story. God bless you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am really very happy to be here and very happy to meet you all. When we graduated, I was posted to Samburu together with Dr. Omega, and Omega was taken to the northmost part of Samburu called South Hall, and I was taken to a place near Isiolo, so called Asher's Post. So I used to meet Peterson Wangombe and Orito in Isiolo many times. I stayed in Samburu for 5 years and 3 months, and I really suffered from malaria. You know, people tell you Murubaine can work for malaria, don't believe them. I drank Murubaine, nothing was working. Was injected with chloroquine, I remember one time for 10 days, and I really felt depressed, removed money from my pocket. I had been doing vaccination for 30 days, and I wanted to tear the money because, what is it for? There is one place in Samburu called Balsoroi where the Europeans wanted to set the headquarters for Samburu district, and the malaria that is found in that place is terrible. That's why it was moved from Balsoroi to Marara. Later, World Bank tried to put a model primary school there, a very nice one with school bus, with everything. It didn't work because of malaria. So I wrote a request for transfer. I told the director, I think it was Omokoya at that time, I have served for the 3 years in hardship area, mandatory. I really have a malaria problem. Can you get me out of this place? I was replied one line, one sentence. Your transfer will be considered in the normal way with others. So I decided to accept my condition. And I enjoyed working in Samburu. I found I had an age group who were adults that time. I bought myself a sword, tied it on, and I said, whatever place the Samburu cattle go for grazing, emergency grazing or whatever, I will follow them there. Samburu East had a lot of insecurity, and every time I would go to the police station to ask for escort to go and work. I remember some policemen asked me, "Sasa, hii ng'ombe wa Samburu hawezi jaza maziwa kikombe kimoja. why do you have to follow this cow everywhere? They have lived with it for 1,000 years. It doesn't change. If you don't want to go, that passion of working in Samburu really helped me. I also applied to go and work with UNICEF in 1991 in South Sudan. I never got any reply. So I stayed in Samburu. Then from Samburu I was transferred to Mukurweini in Nyeri district then. Stayed there for almost 3 years. Then you know one day I just saw a letter saying, you wanted to go and work in Sudan. Are you still interested? Just come. So, and it was from Veterinarians Without Border, BSF Belgium. But the letter went to Samburu, Asha's Post, back. Somebody said it took almost 4 months to reach me. So when the letter reached me and I found it, okay, I called the number. Say, Sasa, we have looked for you. You didn't come. But if you are still interested, you come. That's how I went to Sudan. From 91, I went to Sudan. The application was in 1991. I went in 1996. Yes, that's when the letter, I said, yes, I want to come. Then, I went to Sudan. Many people passed by. Helen met me in Sudan. We were with Elizabeth Waidhaje. She was working with Oxfam. She was also in Sudan. Then there was Omkobai with Oxfam also. A number of other people who were not vet, but I have met them in the University of Nairobi, came by. So in Sudan, I worked for Veterinary Doctors Without Border. I worked for UNICEF. I worked for FAO. And I stayed in Sudan almost 8 years. Daily temperature during noon, 47 degrees centigrade. So now I really looked for a job to come out of Sudan to come to Kenya. Then my son is very talkative. One time when I came home, he said, Sasa, mimi naona baba wewe upende watoto wako kabisa. So, I have seen you don't love us completely. I asked why. Sasa wewe ni kuja na kwenda. Kuja na kwenda. So that really touched me. I worked with it in Sudan. That day I convinced him by saying, if I don't go, hakuna mkate hapa, hakuna chai. But it really kept me in my mind. Even when he grew up, I think around that time, he was born the week I went to Sudan. So I just left him when he was 1 week old. So when he was talking to me, it was about 2 years. Now he was becoming a big boy. He started saying, every time I tried to say something at home, he said, sasa wewe usiongee. You are never, ukuangi na sisi tunakuanga na ma. So this boy weighed on me heavily when I was in Sudan. So I tried for jobs. Every time you go, when you work for the UN for 2-3 years, every time you go anywhere, they ask you, how much were you earning? So you are overqualified for anything. So I reached somewhere and I told the people, now I will not renew my contract. Me, I've gone home. So I remember Elizabeth telling me, I think you are enjoying us. How can you go and you don't have a job? Anyway, I left. I came to World Vision Kenya, stayed in World Vision Kenya for 10 years. Now I am 61, so I'm at home. Very interesting. So what I have decided to do, I am actually writing a book. I've tried to read her to tell her to read and encourage me. Anasoma. Yeah, I am writing a book, and some of you know I was an artist. The people who are even in the university. So, and I want to do that. Really, I didn't train for it. It's just a talent. Say, maybe it should make money for me now. What have I learned through all that? One thing is that Kenyans, we have a very narrow definition of what we call food. But as you travel, there are some people who will eat rats. There are some people who will eat, like there is a place I used to go in Sudan and they eat wild animal and they really like apes. Yeah, I started a college. Is it where you met me? A college for animal health in Sudan. And I had a student and they would say, Sasa, they were from that part of Sudan. Baboons would pass by. You know the baboon has a red number plate. Kama ile ya UN nyuma. So, wanasema, Daktari, we can't understand anything when the baboons are passing here every day. So I say, okay, we will ask authorities to whether they can allow us to kill one of them and then you can eat. So it was done when I was not present. I really wanted to test the number plate part. Then, when I used to go to the market in a place called Diambio, you would meet a roasted arm of a gorilla. It's roasted, alafu imetolewa manyoya, na imeshikishwa cooked peanut. So if you just buy, and then you eat the peanut, but I was not courageous enough to test that one. Then, as I am finishing, I went to the coast. I was the regional manager for World Vision from Rungarunga to Sangairo in Garissa, Boni Forest. All those places I traversed them while working. Then I had this dress. I still have it. I wanted to come to be putting in the evening, but I remember it's very cold here. It is kind of, the first time I put it on, my daughter said, hey, Daddy, amevaa nguo ya Muislam. So I went and put it on in Mombasa because it's very hot. And I had come with it from Sudan. When I put it on, one of my neighbors who used to be a lady, hey, she saw me. So, twinkling eyes. They were not blinking, twinkling. And she asked me, kwani unakuwaga Muislamu? So I was kind of offended. I said no. That night, the way Mombasa is hot, as Muriuki said, the coast, you said you slept how? I was also sleeping the way you used to, because it was really very hot. And then you tuck the mosquito net because of the mosquito, and the window has this screen for keeping away mosquitoes. So I don't know how the alert came. Then I had something crawling over me. Hey, ni panya. Kafukuza panya. Then I woke up, wapi in mosquito net, got on where I can't see. That night I really didn't sleep because of the panya. And you know the area which the panya was interested in. So it was a battle keeping the panya away. And then the following day, now I have to go with the... I woke up, and there was a piece of metal, searched the house. Where did this panya come through? So I don't know whether it's connected with those things of Mombasa. I have still wondered up to today. Yes. And when I went and talked about it in the office, I was told kuna another lady alibebwa na matatu. And kwa miguu hii, kuna mtu alikuwa ameketi this ISO seat. Kuangalia miguu anaona like their hooves, eh? So when the matatu reached, she said, hey, here in Mombasa, there are very many things. I just saw somebody who has hoofs. And then the person who was telling said, kama hii yangu. And then, you know the stories, there are many. And my office was about 50 meters from Nyari Bridge before you reach Kengeleni. Then they told me, because the Nyali Bridge is very high, there is somebody who was seated, in a matatu, and somebody is sitting on the back seat, and anapitisha mkono kwa hao wote. Waliona tu mkono imepitia kwa wote, ikagusagusa dereva kwa mgongo. Isimamisha. Hey, then nobody was talking. So the matatu was stopped. Mtu akatoka, alafu akaenda kwa edge of the bridge, kuluka kwa crate. So stories of Mombasa, although I really worked there for a number of years, and I knew the area, I never got to know are they really true or not. But the one for the rats, that's a personal experience. So you can just.
He used to read me those funny stories. But I wanted to look like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to look like that. Thank you. Because the experiences are many. Thank you.
Thank you. Realize the thing is doing our part, yes. So I think I called the last person. Na sio kumaliza sababu wewe ni kamiti.
I think someone else was before.
And let me go now. Let me go and throw it.
Oh, the Alice?
Alice is no better.
She has done announcements.
Oh, you're not given a okay. I think then you have.
I don't have.
You don't have. So in Mombasa, same to Mombasa.
What whoever is next, I'm leaving.
Okay. So Florence, please. Lakini tumeshukuru sana. Tumpigie makofi wakati.
Good afternoon. I don't know where to start, but I can start from before college. There's a story there. As you know, a bully. Yeah, we were in alliance together. Na hatulingi. And yeah, we were in alliance. Form 5, Form 6. And then we became roommates. Like a story I want to give here is she was a true roommate. And there was a guy who booted me in college. And I didn't know I was already booted. So a bully came, corrected and said, Florence, our friend, I saw him passing this room. And then he went somewhere. That was the first hint. I didn't get the hint. The second hint, she came to my album. Remember those albums? You'd put the photos of those important people in the first page. Do you remember them? So a bully noticed one of the major photo is missing. So she called me, Florence, have you looked at your album? Could we come and see? There was a photo here, and that photo is not there. Surprising, I think denial is very good because I saw the photo. She said, look, even inside. So it took me some time to accept that Iyo akuwa booted. So that is our story with Abuli, a long time. And then after we left Kabete, I was posted to those good places. I was posted to Kirinyaga, Ahiti, Doba, and I stayed there for just a short time. We cross-transferred. I looked for somebody to be cross-transfer to Ahiti Kabete, and I stayed in Ahiti Kabete up to 96. You know, those days people were saying money is in the field. And I went to Kimanzi. I think he was a director. And I told him I want to move from Ahiti. Because one, I was really feeling underused. I was to teach there for 5 hours a week. And had to be there. So I went to the field. I was posted to Tigoni. And I remember the person who took me to Tigoni, that is in Rumuru, said, because it was very cold at the time I was taken there. And I said, this place is very cold. He told me, you love this place. Because here, you'll be going for one case, and you'll be smiling for 3 days. So I didn't know what he meant. But later I was called for a case, and I went and I charged. But those people were like, how much did you charge? I charged $850 that time. But the farmer was, she gave me $1,000 and said, hiyo ingine, enda ukikula bananas. So I stayed then, I went to the office and I shared. They said, oh, here, you don't charge that much. You charge this much. And actually, I now ran the act. So the cases were over 2,000, 3,000. And that's where I stayed until my husband decided to go. And I decided, much as I want the money, my children were in that age where they needed attention. So I had to move from Tigoni to Kiambu. By then I'm settled in Kiambu. So now it was a very bad decision because the 3-day smile disappeared with that transfer. But after some time, that was 202, I went to Githunguri. And I think that's where I really practiced what you call now disease control. And I did a very good job. I'm sure you must have heard about the fresher. We did so well because we had a check-off system. We were vaccinating about 90% of the animals. And with that, the disease goes at bay. But now with the devolution, things change. And there I want to live there. But then now I'm in Remuru. I don't know whether I'll retire there or not. If I retire there, well and good. If I don't, I'm quite well and okay. Along the way, I went to Japan for 2 months. I want to talk about now food, what Gashengo said. And I remember when I was in the airplane, you know, you eat, you're given something to eat. So, in the Japan airline, the food I was given, nikikula hivi nikaona, there's something here which look like a caterpillar. And immediately the food, I decided even the food, even what I've eaten, had to come out. So I went to the toilet. But after 2 months, those two caterpillars now became food. Actually, I could even take a whole plate of caterpillars because if you're given lunch for a plate of caterpillar, you know those two caterpillars, the first day you look at it, the second day you look at it, by the third day, you swallow. Then the other things they would cook very well. They are covered other crabs. So another Zambian lady would tell me, let's go to the supermarket and see what they are cooking for us. Because when you are cutting, there's a bit of mafuta pale dani. But when we went to the supermarket, what we saw, you'd see them just moving around. So you'd realize caterpillar is even better than, I'm talking about the snails. You know, there it is normal food, according to what Gashengo is saying. So whether you had the courage or not, by the time you know you are cutting, you don't know what you are cutting. They don't tell you. But when you go to the supermarket, that's where you see those food. But one thing I learned about Japanese is that once they set a target, because I remember we were given a target of writing a proposal, and the lecturer is just telling you, tomorrow at 8, bring those proposals. And it is 1. And at 8, you present a proposal. So for them, the target you have to meet. Because the person who is asking for that target is 91 years. That is your lecturer. And he's asking you for that proposal. So if you're a young person of 40, why not take it? So when we set a target, let us achieve. That is one thing I learned along the way. Other than running to eat anything that comes. So long as it is sweet, everybody else is taking, why worry? The other thing is, I was also not very lucky among those people who came out of Kabete with, I only came out with the certificate. Then I met the Kenyajui, because you remember when I left there, I was Gitahi. I met Kenyajui, who is a friend of Mogashia and a friend of Kip. And along the way, we also read Genesis. The first time, tukapata kijana moja. Then we read the Genesis again, tukapata mwingine. We read Genesis again, tukapata mwingine. Genesis again, tukapata msichana. Then we decided, hey, this Genesis, let's go to another book. But recently, another one came. This time we didn't go. But now, I am a mother of 3 boys, 1 girl, and another one which I've bought the other day. So now I'm a mother of 2 girls, 3 boys, and very soon, because that was the second one who brought this other girl. The first one is also saying we are in competition. Early next year, another one will come. So I think in the final analysis, I might be a mother of 8. So the book of Genesis is very sweet, but now we are in Exodus. No glad, but I was told the other day, I was celebrating my that 1 years of marriage. So I was told next year, when you're celebrating your 3, you'll be grandchildren. You have a grandchild. So that is good news. Yeah, that is my life. I don't know whether there is any question. Yeah, I remember Esther was asking me, because 3 years we met, and I was almost like a bully. I also don't understand what happened. I just find myself, much as I drink water, I just expand. I do exercise like Musibi, nothing is changing, expanding this direction, and not upward. But I'm trying. I'm trying all those exercise, drinking water, dieting. In fact, another time we went with Mogashia walking, and I also walk. I ran almost 8, I think every day 1 hour, yet I'm increasing. So I don't know what is happening. Is it happening to you? Are you also yourself finding increasing in a direction? Horizontal? I think it's part of aging gracefully. And I like this one. I'm so happy. By the time I go home, I'm one of those people who take a lot. I have learned a lot in this forum. God bless you.
Why did we make these 2 days? I'm here struggling with time. I'm here struggling with time until I say, okay, next time, can we make it probably a few more days? But Mushibi, uko na contract from a friend, from a colleague, you have a contract. Explain why you are not expanding horizontally and see how it can be done. However, ladies and gentlemen, the pharmacologists here will tell you that corticosteroids, they really play tricks on us when we are growing older, especially when you don't mix them with sleep. If you are not having enough sleep, you will wonder why you are expanding horizontally, because you are producing a lot of cortisol, and that is helping you in laying down fat, and you lay down a lot of it. However much exercise you do, that will still happen. But we appreciate, and also when we are growing older, our metabolic rates go down, but we are still having intake of carbohydrates. So what happens? They are converted to fats. So there are all those things that we have to, that we learned, and they are now acting on us, and we have to watch them out. Thank you very much. Let's give a heart clap to Florence. And we also give a hearty clap to Wanganga. Asanteni sana. Now, are we still on track? Yeah, we are still on track. Daktari kuja hapa Mushibi kidogo. I want the next exercise we do here with Mushibi, so that, is that mine? Okay. We do here with Mushibi, because I know I'm not running any risks. I know. I've done risk assessment, and here I have no risk. You can face the people. Tusimame tafadhalini. Tusimame sote. We are going to do an exercise, and at the end of the day, you are going to tell us what we are doing. So, Mushibi, tupeleke mkono juu sote. Mkono moja, wa right. If you are right-handed, the right hand. If you are left, the left hand. Ile unashika kitu nayo. Aya, hook it. No, hook. Hook. Mushibi nishikie hii. Umehook vizuri. Lete chini. Shika. Chini kabisa mpaka kwa floor. Kwa floor. Aya, sasa ukiwa hapo, rudi nyuma. Rudi nyuma. Umerudi nyuma. Achilia na uondoke. Aya, what have we done? Thank you very much. What have we done? Tukae chini. What have we done? Mmesikiaje? Please. is, what we are saying is, you have just restrained an ostrich. That's how we do it. You get a hook, you get it, you hook the head here, bring it down, hold the head, bring it down, right to the ground, then mwikali can inject. Tukiwa namna hivyo, ukimaliza yeye anaondoka, mimi na step back, bado nashika, then naondoka. The ostrich anaangalia anauliza, how did you manage that? Anyway, that's how we do it. Just wanted to remind you a bit, we are no longer there. Wengi wetu sasa ukijaribu hiyo ostrich atakuangusha, si ndio? But we do it that way. And then we wanted to wake up to get blood circulating again. Good exercise. So, ningetaka kwa sasa tusimame dakika moja and we remember our fallen friends. How many are they, Mushibi? Number? I think there were 16? Yeah. We will not go through the list. We will not go through the list, but let us stand and have 1 minute to remember our fallen friends. Okay. Okay. Then we don't have the list written out, but I think now over there, because you have started that, mention 2, tafadhali. 2 of them. Mushibi will keep the count. Where? I think we can just go ahead. Okay, thank you. Marigi, Bogua, wengine watamention moja moja. We'll just go like that. If somebody has been mentioned, please do not repeat. Kalerwa, Omukuba, Eunice, Niede, Maina Chege, Chege Mutua, Kikete. I was remembering Kikwete, so I was wondering what is happening here. Okay. Lucy. Martin Mwinde. Ginyi. You remember anybody else? Okay. Alice. Odhiambo. Yes. Mwikali, do you remember anybody? Wanganga, Mwendia, Jeru, Macharia, Stanley. Oh yeah. Yeah, that is minor. This is good. That is minor. Stanley Mwangi, we used to call him Saddam Hussein. I never knew that I would be with Saddam Hussein when I was calling him Saddam Hussein. Muriuki? Yeah, Olason. Kiari? Okay. Good. Okay. Those are 15. So we are almost there. Does anybody, what happened to Maina, the other Maina who joined us? He is still there? There was another Maina. That is Bogwa. Okay. I think that's okay. We, Dr. Mushibi, we'll try to check later on and complete that list. Okay, so let's have 1 minute in respect of our fallen friends. Thank you very much. You may get seated. So having got there, we now look at the next item, which is where what we want to do going forward. Now, Helen, do you mind taking us through this? We had talked about the venue, what we want to be doing, whether it is, our meetings. Is that okay? Yeah, please. Meetings and venue, frequency of meetings.
Okay. Okay, I think we have probably two things to discuss. One of them is, did you enjoy yourselves, and do you think we should meet again, and how often? I think that's where we need to start. Do you think we should meet every year, every 2 years? At least that's, what do you guys think? Just suggestions and ideas. We don't have to, make the decision now, but good ideas, and then we can continue the discussion on our WhatsApp. Yes, Michibi.
As we start retiring, it then means that you are almost 100% in charge of your time, as opposed to now when people are still working. And you see, Siamba yesterday withdrew last minute because of work related. So there was a feeling that with the time, people will be a bit more in control of time, and they can take decisions. So it is possible to be meeting physically to give thanks.
Okay. So remember, we also had a Zoom reunion, and with the virtual, we can take advantage of that as well. So we don't have to do like physical every time. If we think about it, we can do maybe one time physical, one time virtual. So maybe the first question is, do you want to try and do this every year? Do you want to try and do this every 2 years? What are some ideas on that?
I think this year we've done virtual and we've done now this one. And it looks like a good idea for us to move along with it. And even the locations seem to be ideal for all of us.
So what you're saying is every year we try and do, should we do both virtual and physical? So when we were doing the virtual was just to give people a taste of what it would be like. And of course there's some people who might not be able. I think we are a class of like, we were 80 in our class. I think we were the biggest class. 81, we've lost 16, or 15, so that means there's about 65 people, and we're about 25 here who participated in this. So there's about 40 people, and if we look at 40 people, there's some who will never come anyway. So put a third, but our target should be about maybe 40. That's why we're posting this information quickly so that people can see the fun that we're having. Maybe they'll come, but like Michibi was saying, responsibilities sometimes keep people away. So do we vote for at least we try every year for now, and we can do a virtual and we can do a physical, and if people think we should change that, then we change. Okay. All right. Yes? Yes? Yay. Those in favor say A. A. Okay. All right. So the second thing is the venue. Where would there been ideas of, we could go to Gaborone,
Botswana. We could go to Lilongwe. We could go to Mombasa. You could all come to Boston. You know, so do we want to think about that? I mean, like this venue, Maanzoni, is also really good. I think you guys have had fun here. As we're thinking about the next one, which would be next year, maybe thinking about if we plan in advance, would we want to do it at around the same time? Which would be the ideal time so that we can get as many people? I know there's no perfect time, but was this a good time? This is a holiday weekend in Kenya, you know, and we would want to also encourage people to come with their families if they can and things like that. Would this be an ideal time? Are people too busy in the month of December? Is there another? Yeah.
A lot of people that we were talking to are saying that they're having family gatherings. A lot of people tend to have some day in December that is dedicated to their family issues. So I think we may need to think a bit about that before we pick on the time. Because like about 6 or 7 people all were having family gathering, planned, scheduled. 1 or 2 of them were going to pay dowry, and so you see that is not scheduled. That's not planned.
Do you think that planning was because we planned this late? Yeah. When it comes to family issues, there are some things which are annual already, and they hang around any weekend that has a holiday to it. That's December. So any event that we plan that touches on the Jamhuri or towards Christmas, you are sure many people will not be available. And number 2, as you have said, we are heading to retirement, and many of us really will not be engaged in office things that we cannot be away on a weekday. Because also weekends, whether you are employed or not, there are also those community issues and family issues that also demand the Saturdays a lot. And especially when it is towards the month of December. So if we are going to have an event that takes a Saturday or a weekend, let it leave alone those holiday months, August, December, and April. Because as much as we are not having small children, we still have issues that are affected by the school calendar. Yeah. August? Oh, okay. So what for what month?
Thank you very much. I would want to look at it that we are here as part of the bigger group, but we have raised these observations and suggestions. So I would like to suggest that we move this discussion to conclusive deliberation on the forum, so that we involve the other people. But we will also capture the observations and the issues that have been raised with regard to the meeting date. The meeting date. Again, the issue of the venue, we also need to involve the others. So I would suggest that we move it to the forum. Then that is where we will conclude it.
I agree with you, but maybe not so much, because despite all the reasons, this group made a real effort to be here, you know, and I would go a step further to say that probably, correct me if I'm wrong, that this is a really committed group, you know,
and it might be good to make those decisions. We can suggest on the forum and say, hey, these are the ideas that came out. We want to have these meetings. But I am so sure that you all had commitments. Like something could have come up that would have made you not come. But you thought this was so important that you planned to be here deliberately. And I think you deserve credit for that. And you deserve to make some decisions. You know, yeah, because because really it's great to be able for you to be able to come. So I would, Alice, did you want to say?
It has given me reason to take a holiday for over 20 years. Yes, so there is really no time. So if we actually have an idea, even if we say let's be doing it in December, people will be planning around it. And if we get even a number like what we've done today, we've done very, very well, I must say that. Because there is really no time when it is perfect. But when you have an idea of when, you will work around that. So if the event is important enough for you, you will find time. You will make the other programs second. Because even somebody coming for one day is really a sacrifice for the people who are having engagements today evening. Tomorrow, look at DVS, he came straight from Ethiopia, he did break, he landed here. That is commitment. So for me, even if we took it back to the group, we are already representative enough. So what we decide, we now take to the group and tell them this is what we've decided. And then somebody, it's like an AGM. Not everybody comes, but what you decide, if somebody has a very good enough reason, now they can put their suggestion. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And so, Dr. Barry, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. My observation is that when we call a meeting, even virtual, the faces that I see are almost the same. And I think we need to encourage the others that don't participate. So my proposal is that we set a date. Like I was checking the calendar. Next December 10th will be a Saturday. So if we propose that we try that one again, I think we set a date, then we can review with time. Yeah, let me sanitize.
Would plan, and then because of lack of quorum, we really shy away from making it happen. So I would suggest that, like you suggested, Ellen, we set maybe a day in October. That does not make it fit, but we come out of here with a date and a venue which can be discussed. But let us not to wait for everybody to attend. This is a sacrifice. And I think if we maintain it, it can also be marked on the calendars. I don't know what happened to Moinde. Is it still there? I don't know what happened to Masujade. Around October, we can think of a weekend. We set it here, trust gone to attend. If things change, we can discuss, but let us not hope that we shall get 100% attendance, even if it's a virtual meeting. The committee, you did a good job. Let us continue supporting you to make things happen. But we come out of here with a tentative date in venue. Thank you.
Maybe before October 1st.
did not show, they call them more than once to find out why are you not coming. Is there any way? Can you just come for a night? Can you just come for a day? So we really have to compliment them because they really went. I think they reached almost everyone in the class. I don't know if there's anyone they did not talk to.
The two guys that we were taught by Moran, we never saw them even.
Kalwatch?
Kalindo. Yeah, those two.
Kalwatch and who?
I don't remember them.
And Charles Ojunga? Yeah, he's in the event. Somebody's
the only classmate that was with them. I also talked to him with someone in Morang. He said he also never met them after.
Okay.
So those are the ones.
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion that this union is different from an AGM and something else and something. And it should actually come during the times when everybody is psyched for a holiday. And that is towards December. I've not fixed it at any one time. Such that if, let's say we say we are going to Botswana, then I can also keep saying that me and my family, we are going to this particular time at this particular time. But if we fix it at a time, we have to bear in mind that that is purely our business and not the families. Therefore, I would be of the opinion that early December, when everybody is psyched for a holiday, the children and everybody else are psyched for a holiday, the husbands and wives are all psyched for the holiday, then you can be in a position to all of you possibly move. Some people have already started that, it's good. But if we push it around early in the year, it is just like a Safaricom AGM, where you come, finish up, and you are in a hurry to go back and do some other business. So please think of fixing it early December, when basically when schools determine the holidays, more or less. I hope when all the calendars go back to normal, like the old, from the university to everybody else, they determine what the holidays are because we are part of a society. Yes.
First week or something before the holiday weekend. Yes,
thank you. I want to concur with Mandy that we need to look at this reunion not as a business reunion, but as a nation reunion, such that we are able to bring it to the season of celebration. The season for celebration here, we know they move around December. So we will be able to get early dates in December before those are national, especially so much so with Christmas. We can be able to bring it before Christmas, because Christmas are giving us where everybody is signed for Christmas. I think it will be, but we need to look at it not as a business venture, but as a nature venture coming together and celebrating. Because if you bring it any other time, it looks like more of a business, not more of a celebration.
All right, so it sounds like the concurrence is early December, isn't it? Yeah. And the 10th might not be a holiday weekend next year, you know, so it might not be.
So we will propose, we'll look at the calendar next year and see. And then if we want to do, I think the Zoom reunion was a very good like preamble. Yeah, precursor for that. So if we can do the same, maybe like a couple of months before that, we have like a Zoom that will set off people and encourage people to be able to do it. Maybe the question for next year, because next year is up soon, is do we want to stay in the same venue? I'm thinking that we've suggested that we could go to other countries, but I'm sort of feeling like people might need more than a year to plan to go to Lilongwe or Malawi or something like that. or Botswana, and we still have to consult with the people there to figure it out. Yeah, although we can do it on our WhatsApp. So what do you think about the venue? Do we want to change and do something different somewhere else? Or do we want to bring it back to Maanzoni for another? We sample the country, yeah? Oh, that's it? So are you suggesting that we go to a different... one of the things that we have to think about is travel. I don't know who traveled the longest to come. Murai? That will keep, depending on retirement, yeah, because people are going into Alice, and comfortable. I honestly wouldn't mind trying Mombasa. Oh, somewhere. Anyway, we could, Naivasha, yeah, that might, or Nakuru. So we have some options. Do we want to, maybe that's one thing that we can comfortably, because now we have a date. We have agreed that we'll do it next year. We'll do it annually, and we'll do the virtual as well as the physical. We have potential dates. I think venue, we can suggest, and we can bring that to the forum. I think, and yeah, that's, yeah, okay, all right. So yeah, if we are able to do that, then that's fine. I think, Chege, my job is done. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Helen. Oops, sorry.
A small announcement. Earlier we had been given a checkout time as over lunch. This has been extended up to 4 p.m. So you can leave your stuff in the room. Running around in gunias and stuff. And secondly is we missed out one name of the deceased. Thank you, Esther. Dr. Murekefu. Murefu. Dr. Murefu. Yeah, so it's Murefu. So there are 16.
Okay, thank you very much. Asanteni, tuwe na mkutano mmoja tafadhali. Mkutano mmoja tafadhali. Thank you very much. Now the list is complete. So we just make sure that we keep that list, and we pray to God that his combined harvest that doesn't come our way. Yeah. Dr. Mwekali will come and give a mention of the people who have supported this event beyond our contribution. It's always good to let people know that their names were mentioned. It's called, in resource mobilization, we call it donor massaging, and also donor thanking. Okay. Anyway, as she does that, you remember the nurses were supposed to go to Britain, and they failed exams. Do you know what they failed? English. Because when they were told to say, yule mnyama anasema ma, they said sheep. They were told, ile vessel inaenda kwa sea, sheep. Yeah? Sasa unashindwa. Kondoo na meli zimekuwa kitu kimoja. Moja ni sheep, hiyo ingine ni sheep. Haya, tuendelee. Oh, sorry. Actually, I'm very serious. I'm serious. It is English. It is English, they failed. Usually, if you do those tests after, even here, if we go and do it, you'll be lucky to get 20%.
Habari zenu tena. Thank you, Chege, for the good work and for all the MCs or facilitators of the day. And I think tunaendelea vizuri. I just want to make one or two announcements that earlier on I gave you or rather you picked a ticket. So before you exit, please pass at my desk there, we talk. What was the other one? So for the checkout, please make sure you are there for the afternoon section. It's a very nice section. So don't leave just because you have checked out. The other thing is just to appreciate. So I'm just reminding them that even though they are about to leave in the afternoon, don't pack your mind yet. We have a lot of activities and we are happy that we are and beginning with ourselves. If we are able to sponsor ourselves to be here 2 days, 3 days traveling and all that expenses, we are happy that you are able to get that time and sponsor ourselves. We appreciate in a special way, of course, those who committed themselves. We have Ellen who is with us here. June is also with us. We have David also sponsored. We have Sepros and also Coopers who sponsored us in a way or the other, and they were not able to come to display their wares. And so I believe we have goodwill from ourselves, from our in the industry, and even our professional friends that we work with. And so even as we plan for next year, let's look out for them, and I know they can make it better and bigger. And so nimeshukuru sana. Did I forget anything? Oh, sorry. Of course, we have seen all Elgon, the big bags that we had. They were sponsored by Elgon, of which Mushibi is here with us today, and we appreciate that. Another sponsor that I may not have appreciated, please know that we are appreciating you. Okay, sorry, before Alice say something, before you also leave, because I think we are about to leave for lunch, you make sure you pick a meal card from me there, and then I think we will enjoy our lunch. Alice? Some of our children are sponsors in kind. They worked very hard behind the curtains. Some of the things which would not have achieved and ideas, they actually came from our children. Thank you very much. So they are part of the sponsorship in kind. Thank you. Nimerudisha kipasa sauti.
That were issued. Sorry. Okay. That's good. Tukimaliza mnaenda hapo na tiketi yako ionekane indatoa nini. That is very good. Now, we have the afternoon session that is going to be there. Please, immediately we finish here, the next step will be, is it downstairs, Alice, where are we going to take the photo? Okay. Okay, you discuss, and then you'll guide us. Okay? So you take you pass you pass by that table, and then we follow the paparazzi to where we are going to take the photo. Now we have all that. Ladies and gentlemen, we are almost done. So I'll call upon sorry. Now, for those who are not coming back in the afternoon, we thank you very much for being with us. On behalf of the whole group, we wish you a safe journey back to your residence. And we hope that everybody who is here is going to keep the fire burning, so that whenever we are meeting, all of us who are here, we make sure that we lead the rest in ensuring that we are together. Tuko pamoja? Everybody is happy? Asanteni sana. Sorry? No, this is for those who are not coming back. But we really hope that the majority of us are going to be back here. We'll do that, Helen. We'll do that after the vote of thanks, because we'll have to check on the time. So for the vote of thanks, I would like to invite Mary Aburi to come and give a vote of thanks. We are doing the vote of thanks because of those who are not going to be with us. That's why we are doing it at this point, not closing.
Good afternoon yet again. My name is Tiu Mary. I'm happy to be in front of you to give a vote of thanks. I would like to start with thanking our God so much for enabling us to make the journeys, make the plans, and be here. We cannot take it for granted. Then I will give a special thanks to the organizing committee made up of Dr. Chege Mugashia, Dr. John Mushibi, Dr. Alice Kivinya, Dr. Florence, where is she? Yeah, they did such a good job. And Dr. Muikali, sorry, my good friend Muikali, and Joyce in absentia, and Helen, yeah, and Kip, yes, David, for doing such a super job of bringing us together. It would not have been possible if we didn't have that organizing committee. And it started right at when we had the Zoom meeting. It was also exciting. So feel thanked so much. May God bless you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you even to their children. I know during the Zoom meeting, Helen's family was involved. And thank them especially for us. Thank you everyone for making the date. It's such an exciting thing. Everybody has sacrificed something. We have sacrificed our time, we have sacrificed our money, and we'd like to thank very specially the sponsors. Their names were read. Tell them that we are so thankful because they went the extra mile to make sure that we have enjoyed ourselves. And now, I would like to just say thank you very much for giving me the chance to give the vote of thanks and to plead that the next time that we decide to meet, wacha tukue sisi wote na tujaribu kuconvince hao wengine wenye hawakukua so that we make it bigger and greater. Thank you so much. May God bless class of 88.
Now, thank you very much, Dr. Tumpigie makofi. Thinking on my feet, I would like to make a request that we take the photographs and then we pick the gifts. Why? Because we might end up spending a lot of time here and the time is really going. Would that be okay? Somebody says yes, Ali says no. Others, I'm seeing a number of people saying no. So let's then do this. As soon as, okay, she's also said no. So let's do this, my colleagues. As soon as we finish, tupange laini vizuri. Twende tu mara moja. Sawa. And then we go out. Meal cards are also there. Meal cards are there. Ah, okay. So we have to pass there anyway. So we pass through there, through that door, we follow the paparazzi, we take the photo, and then we can go. Now, we have the prayer for food. Can we have a volunteer, please? Very quickly. Mariki, utaombea chakula tafadhali. Tashukuru kwa chakula. Sio kuombea kwa sababu iko tayari.
Okay. Let's pray, tusimame tuombe. Lord God, we come before thee at this hour of the day to thank you for the gift of life, to thank you for the travel journeys that you give us. Lord, we are now breaking for lunch, which we ask that you bless it as we partake of it. And for the blessings of our spiritual life, Lord, we ask you that you bless us with it. For in Jesus' name we pray.
Now, last thing, coming back, lunch list is at the dining hall, right? The same place we took dinner yesterday. Then time for coming back, what time is it now? Now is 13:53. We come back, we give it, 45 minutes? Yes? Yes. Come, please. Come, please. Yeah? Yeah. Shika, Alice. Please, let's hear about the lunch, the arrangements for the afternoon, please, very quickly.
So for the afternoon, you might want to dress differently a bit. That's why we negotiated for the 4 o'clock checkout, because there'll be a bit of a activity. So the guy had identified a place in the field. So he will tell us, he'll show us where by the time you finish lunch, he'll show us where we are going for the activity, for the team building activities and the Zumba dance. Don't forget that.